Thing. June 3rd, 2017. Translated by Chinyu and edited by Peter. Knowing and understanding ourselves is one of the guarantees for a happy life. If we do not know ourselves or understand ourselves, we will inevitably have a series of troubles and pains in our lives. And we will attribute these troubles and pains to the outside world and others, instead of ourselves. A king or a beggar, who is freer and happier? The answer is, whoever knows and understands himself is happier. When a person vents grievances, it is from a lack of knowledge and understanding of himself. When a person blames others, it is from a lack of knowledge and understanding of himself. When a person feels his talents are unrecognized, it is from a lack of knowledge and understanding of himself. The world is still the same. The world is faultless. All faults lie within ourselves. If a person is revered and respected by others, that's because he is valuable to people. When he loses his value, no one will revere and respect him. This is not only a cruel reality, but also the law of justice in the world. Therefore, if we want to always get people's reverence and respect, we must maintain our own value. When we have no value to people, we must be ready to bear the indifference and cruelty of the world to us and bear the boundless isolation and loneliness in our hearts. People all live in circles. Some circles are small, and some are large. This is like a WeChat group. A dozen or hundreds of thousands of people is a circle, and 2 people is also a circle. If you want to be respected in a circle, you must have equivalent value to the circle, otherwise, either you will abandon this circle or you will be abandoned by this circle. For example, there are 3 people in a circle. Zhang San has a carrot, Li Si has a banana, and Wang Wu has a cucumber. Then, the people in this circle are basically equal. This circle is relatively harmonious and warm, and their friendship will also be lasting. If Zhang San has carrots, Li Si has bananas, and Wang Wu has nothing, then Zhang San and Li Si will not respect Wang Wu and will abandon Wang Wu. Even circles of the same nature, such as business circles, have obvious levels. Millionaires are in the million-dollar circle. You cannot enter the multimillionaire circle. Multimillionaires are all in the multimillionaire circle. You cannot get into the circle of billionaires. This is called birds of a feather flock together. To people, living is a cruel battle. No one lives easily. Whoever wants to achieve a happy and ideal life without a cruel struggle must be dreaming. If you have never worked hard but lived well, it proves that someone is supporting you. Once you lose the person supporting you, you will enter a state of misery. In order to avoid entering a state of misery, you must always struggle. Never be careless and live in a muddle-headed way. Do not think about enjoyment, but about giving and dedication. Only in this way can you hope to get the happy life you yearn for. Do what you can do. Do not expect to do what you cannot do. If you cannot do well at what you can do, there is no doubt that you won't do well at the things you expect to do. Ask yourself often, what have I done well? What have I done that I can be proud of? Do not dislike the trivial and simple things. A person's talents and great qualities are reflected in the simplest and smallest things. If you do small things well, you can do medium things. If you do medium things well, you can do big things. And if you do not even do small things well, can you do medium and big things? Even ghosts won't believe this. Be proactive, not passive. As a child, do not always hope that your parents will arrange everything for you. As a student, do not always hope that the teacher will arrange everything for you. As a disciple, do not always hope that your master will arrange everything for you. As a subordinate, do not always hope that your superiors will arrange everything for you. As a citizen, do not always hope that the president and the central government will arrange everything for you. If we do not give full play of our intelligence and wisdom now, we will never receive support and promotion from nobles. We will lose the steps to promotion forever, and we will never release our inner energy to liberate ourselves or change our bad fate. 超越时空活在未来 Transcending time and space by living in the future. Xiefeng. June 16th, 2018. Translated by Chinyu and edited by Peter. Man is life. Life is a non-material structure with spirituality. The core component of life is consciousness. For consciousness, there is no question of reality and illusion, no question of time and space, and no question of past and future. Reality and illusion, time and space, are a problem that stubbornly exist in human perception. For life itself, these problems do not exist. The essence of life is perception and experience. Without perception and experience, there is no life. In other words, life without perception and experience does not exist. As far as perception and experience are concerned, there is no difference between dreams and reality. There is no difference between playing games online and directly participating in games. There is no difference between virtual and real situations. There is no difference between a face-to-face chat and a dream chat. There is no difference between recalling the past and looking forward to the future. And there is no difference between concrete practice and imaginative practice. For example, in the illusory scene of dreams, what we perceive and experience in dreams is the same as what we perceive and experience in reality. So long as it is perception and experience, for life itself, there is no problem with the illusion of reality, no problem of past, present, and future. Human cognition can never go beyond reality, time, and space. This is the limitation of human cognition. This limitation restricts our thinking to four-dimensional time and space, so that we cannot break through the shackles of reality, time, and space. The sayings and viewpoints of living in the present are the most typical examples of cognition and thinking fettered by reality, time, and space. In other words, the cognition and understanding of living in the present is purely human thinking. It is not the cognition and thinking of lives higher than human beings. Now, let's discuss the feasibility of transcending time and space from human cognition. What has happened is called the past or history. What is happening is called the present or now. What is going to happen is called the future or the time to come. Now let's make a choice. Would you like to live in the past, in the present, or in the future? For those who have had a good past, they want to live in the past, but also look forward to the future. For people who have had a painful past, they do not want to live in the past. So, how many people are willing to live in the present? Except for those who are enjoying life at this moment, most people are willing to live in the future because the future has not yet happened, and they can look forward to a happy situation. The main point of this article is that now is the most difficult time for life. Food, clothing, shelter, transportation, birth, aging, sickness, and death have brought enough worry to people. Electricity bills, water fees, internet fees, gas fees, fuel fees, transportation fees, vehicle, house etc. repair costs, house rent, and land tax have given people enough to be anxious about. The giving of presents between people is annoying enough. Personal safety is also worrisome, and the natural disasters and causal disasters that occur anytime and anywhere are heartrending. Therefore, living in this moment is the most troublesome and painful experience. Since life lies in perception and experience, it is wise to consciously avoid and escape the current situation of confusion and sorrow. There is a sad reality that we have to face. Nearly 1 million people commit suicide every year around the world. Millions of people attempt suicide. Hundreds of millions of people have thought of suicide. Why do they commit suicide? Because the present is too bitter, there is no hope, no turning point, no bright future, so they just choose to commit suicide. This is the life tragedy of those who live in the moment. Now let's envision that if a person in such current distress knows that he will receive 1 million yuan tomorrow, or will encounter a noble person who will bring himself out of a real tragic situation, or the world will be reversed and his sorrow will end soon, or he gets to know in a few years that he will turn the situation around and become successful, or knows that he will enjoy a wonderful life in the endless heaven in the future, then, will he commit suicide? Of course not. Not only will he not commit suicide, but he will live happily every day. This means that letting the consciousness live in the future makes life better than living in the present. Therefore, allow yourself to live in the future and imagine that in the future you can live in the new oasis for life created by Life Genuine. Imagine that you are living in the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, the Celestial Islands continent. In this way, your current misery will be alleviated. No matter how hard or difficult it is, you will survive it. Your current troubles and pains will disappear into smoke and clouds, and all worries and fears will be just illusions in front of you. Hence, you will feel that every day is interesting to live, just like playing games, and even if death comes, you will be fearless and even accept it with joy. This is the way to transcend time and space. We must know that the future is created by visualized thinking. The essence of life is perception and experience. In this case, living in a beautiful future is more meaningful and valuable than living in the present. One of the mysteries of life is that perception and experience determine the taste and state of life. That being the case, why bother letting the consciousness experience a miserable moment? Why not let the consciousness experience a bright future? Anyway, consciousness does not distinguish between reality and illusion. Everything we experience is the essential attribute of life. 絮叨人生, a ramble about life. Xiefeng, May 23, 2018. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Peter. Rambling is chatting. Chatting can be endless, free from rules and regulations, letting one's thoughts float in the wind, aimlessly like mature dandelion seeds. Everyone encounters two doors every day. One door leads to heaven, and the other leads to hell. Whether you go to heaven or to hell depends entirely on how you treat people and things. If you treat them right, your path ahead will be bright and full of flowers. And if you treat them wrong, your path ahead will be full of mud, and you can only trudge along. Every day in life, we are taking exams. What we should do and how to do it is the exam. The examiner is the greatest creator. Our ultimate destination is decided by the accumulated daily exam results. With excellent results, there is no doubt we will go to heaven. With poor results, there is no doubt we will go to hell. Every day in life, we can have the good fortune of meeting angels. In everyday life, we always deal with people. Even the person we meet in the WeChat group might be an angel. If we treat angels kindly and sincerely, our lives might turn around and we may get to know the secrets of life. If we treat angels badly, we may miss a good connection and a good future. Everyone's outcome is an accumulation of his lifetime's thoughts and behavior. Do not take the chance and think that if you hurt a person or life you will not be punished. It is impossible. Punishment is bound to come. Even if we once ridiculed someone, even if we once gave someone a contemptuous look, even if we once humiliated someone with vulgar language, punishment would inevitably come. Some punishments are obvious, but most of the punishments are without a trace. It just happens without our noticing of it. For example, we should have eaten ginseng fruit, but in fact we got sour plums. We should have done something smoothly, but in fact we encountered obstacles and resistance. To analyze and judge a phenomenon, three basic factors need to be considered. One is affection, one is reason, and one is nature. Some phenomena conform to affection but not reason in nature. Some phenomena conform to reason but not affection in nature. And some phenomena conform to nature but not affection and reason. Some unreasonable phenomena are in line with affection and nature. Some ruthless phenomena are in line with reason and nature. And some phenomena that are neither in line with reason nor affection but are in line with nature. Therefore, it is best not to judge any phenomenon in life. It is easy to misjudge and cause harm, unless we take everything into consideration that are the three factors: affection, reason, and nature. Last year, I went to Vanuatu, the Pacific Island country, and chatted with Mr. Steven, the person in charge of Eden of the East. He said that people should be vegetarian instead of meat eaters. I asked, "Can't we eat pork?" He said we shouldn't. I said that everything has its value of existence. So what is the value of existence of pigs? He told me a lot and it made sense, but I explained my understanding to him. I said that balance is a law of the universe. This law conforms to the law that the sum of positive and negative energies is zero. Its basic principle is that it rises here but falls there. It increases here but decreases there. It gains here but loses there. And it strengthens here but weakens there. For example, if a person's words hurt many people, the balance of it will be that he can no longer talk. If a person takes advantage of the world, he will definitely be balanced by paying the price for this. If a person owes someone a debt, it will be balanced by his repaying the debt. If a person cruelly killed another life, it will definitely be balanced by the giving of his own life. In this sense, a pig must be the reincarnation of a certain person as a result of his words bringing too much hurt to others. He took too much advantage of others, he owed too much debt, and cruelly killed a certain life. Only by reincarnating as a pig and paying with his own hair, bones, blood, flesh, and life can he balance the debts he owed in his previous life. In this sense, Eating meat is a kind of benevolence, and not eating meat is cruel. Why do I say so? When a person owes a debt, he will be reincarnated as a pig to repay. If you do not eat his meat, that means that he is not allowed to repay his debts, and he has to continue to carry his debts and reincarnate again and again in the livestock world. This is a bit cruel. But if you eat his meat, it lets him repay his debts and leave behind his reincarnation in the pig world and return to the human world as a human being. Isn't it a good deed? There are endless truths that people need to learn and understand in their lives. There is a deep understanding that I want to share with everyone. This is to never hurt anyone in your life. Do not hurt with words, nor with deeds, eyes, mouth, hands, feet, or thoughts. Even if others hurt you, you must never deal with a man as he deals with you. Just say good words, as many as you like, and never say anything bad. Once you do, it will become sin, and it will be too late to remedy. Fish are in the water, people are in the Tao, and the operation and changes of all phenomena and things in the world are in the Tao, and there are no people or things that should be wronged. Feeling being wronged is because of your not understanding cause and effect. If you understand the law of cause and effect, you will know that everything is appropriate. It is really divine punishments, though slow, are always sure, with big meshes yet letting nothing slip through. Therefore, if others hurt you, they will be handed over to the Tao's handling and arrangement. We ourselves will never hurt people, will never hurt anyone. 人类最佳出路，改变传统的生产和生活模式. The best way forward for mankind, changing the traditional production and life mode. Xiefeng. February 1st, 2023. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Peter. With the development of human beings today, there are many chronic diseases that cannot be cured by the traditional production and life mode. More than 7 billion people are living on the earth and consume a large amount of resources every day, and consumption has exceeded the regeneration capacity of the earth. Rapid advances in science and technology can develop new types of energy and save resources, but ultimately, it is a drop in the bucket and cannot solve the crisis that we are facing. The chronic diseases of the entire human society are as follows. Resource consumption exceeds regeneration capacity. Everyone is a consumer of resources, not a creator of resources. In the long run, the depletion of resources is an inevitable reality, and this problem cannot be solved by relying on the traditional production and life mode. The waste of resources. A large part of what people use in food, clothing, housing, transportation, birth, old age, sickness, and death today is extravagant and unnecessary. This problem cannot be solved by legal and moral teachings. It can only be solved by changing the traditional production and life mode. Official corruption and a slothful government. There are always contradictions between officials and the people. This problem has not been resolved for thousands of years. The problem is that the traditional production and life mode are fertile soil for corruption. If the traditional production and life mode do not change, the corruption of officials and government sloth cannot be eliminated. Conflicts between ethnic groups and between countries. The competition and conflicts between different ethnic groups and nations which are caused by resource competition and ideological differences have never been resolved in history. If these conflicts cannot be resolved, huge military expenditures will not be reduced, and wars will be inevitable. The huge damage that this causes to society cannot be avoided. The only measure to solve this chronic disease lies in changing the traditional production and life mode of human beings. The gap between the rich and the poor. Due to everyone's different talents and the efforts that different people make, it is natural and normal for people to have a wealth gap between them. However, if the gap between rich and poor becomes too large, conflicts will form. The most effective way to alleviate this conflict is not legal and moral teaching, not to mention administrative orders and taxation, but to change the traditional mode of production and life. The magic of money. With money as a medium of exchange, its value and function cannot be questioned and underestimated. However, when people regard the pursuit of money as the primary motivation and purpose of survival and life, social turmoil and personal troubles and pains will be the result. How can the magic of money be eliminated? Only by changing the traditional mode of production and life. The loss of integrity. The more there are people, the fewer the resources, the more intense the competition will be, and the lower the integrity of people will be. With the loss of integrity, the cost of communication between people, countries, and special interest groups will increase infinitely. This is not only detrimental to the welfare of all the people, but also detrimental to resource conservation and social stability. How can this problem be solved? Legal and moral constraints cannot play a major role, so it can only be solved by changing the traditional mode of production and life. The disadvantages of government planning and a market economy. Facts have proved that the government's plan will take care of one thing and overlook another will lead to the impoverishment of the people. The market economy is like the law of the jungle, which will lead to the weak becoming the prey to the strong, which is not the ideal state of human life. I have thought about many options of how to make the world favorable and harmonious, and for the people to live and work in peace and contentment. Finally, it has been found that the best plan is to replace the traditional way of production and life with the new way of production and life. So, what kind of mode is the new human production and life mode? In a word, it is a full replication and copy of the production and life mode of the thousand-year world of the kingdom of heaven. The model of this new mode of production and life on earth is the production and life mode of the second home created by Life Echanuan. A brief summary of this new mode is: human beings will no longer enter the institution of marriage and family, but enter the program of the second home. Countries will disintegrate. There will be global cooperation and resource sharing. The scale of population growth will become lower than the regeneration capacity of the Earth's resources, and people will flow around the world designedly, allowing everyone to reach the state of life in the kingdom of heaven, where everyone owns nothing yet owns everything. This is not a dream, but a summary of the successful experience that has been practiced on the Earth for 15 years. May every citizen of the Earth get to know, think, and practice it. 人类最高级文明内涵 The connotation of the highest level of human civilization. Dayform Buddha. May 2, 2023. Edited by Peter. When human civilization enters the most advanced stage, there will be no laws, no countries, no currency, no marriage and family, and no forms of identification such as ID cards, passports, driver's licenses, work permits, medical licenses, judge certification, professor certification, and so on, and there will be no various types of business licenses. Readers may think that this is impossible. Without laws, without countries, without any identification, the whole human society will become chaotic. For example, if there are no driver's licenses, people who don't understand traffic rules will also drive on the road and will inevitably cause traffic accidents. I want to say that we cannot imagine the form and operating mode of the highest level of human civilization society with the current consciousness and living environment of people, but we can imagine that when everyone is selfless and exudes the nature of truth, goodness, beauty, love, sincerity, and trust from within, all the disputes in the world will be melted away. The unskilled driver will not drive on the road because he loves others more than he loves himself. Perhaps some readers may think that people cannot completely achieve unselfishness and selflessness, but in fact, when the traditional production and life mode of society will be replaced by the second home mode, people will find that the more unselfish and selfless they are, the more they will enjoy the joy and beauty of life and life to the greatest extent. We have proven this through 14 years of this production and life mode in practice. Without countries, laws, and marriage and family, will everything become chaotic? No. When we emulate the thousand-year world mode, we will find that the higher the degree of freedom, the more civilized people will become. The more restrictions and constraints, the more people's selfishness, greed, and opportunism will be stimulated. Moreover, when tens of millions of second homes are born on the earth, people will choose to enter these homes to live in, and all the homes will operate according to universal values and the way of nature. All people on earth will become members of this big family of homes, and no matter what they do, whether it is power generation, farming, clothing production, education of children, shepherding on the grassland, or technological innovation in the laboratory, people from all walks of life will become members of the Earth family. Without currency and private property, everyone will freely use their intelligence and talents, and all the issues of food, clothing, housing, transportation, aging, and death will be resolved by this big family. No one would want to keep currency or have private property. Each second home has 30 to 300 members, and each member rotates to work and live in another home for 3 years. When people around the world start to flow freely, there will be no more national, party, religious, or cultural barriers, and any turmoil and war will no longer occur. Hunger will also disappear, and the probability of theft, robbery, corruption, fraud, and deception will become negligible. I am very sure that everyone must have 100,000 questions in their hearts about this, but I can tell you that I have thought of all the problems you are worried about, and I know the solutions. I can also tell you accurately that no one's thinking in the world today is deeper than mine, and no one's solution to solving problems is superior to mine. Even if the Eastern saint that everyone is looking forward to comes, it will not surpass my theory and practice. Humanity has only one bright future ahead, which is to follow what I say, because no matter how intelligent a person may be, they cannot escape the 36-8 diagram arrays. Only by following the path I guide you on can we have the most wonderful future. 与自己同行的人造就了人生的悲欢离合. The people who accompany us on our journey shape the joys and sorrows of our lives. Xiefeng, June 1st, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. People realize and understand as they grow older that the individuals that they journey with shape the joys and sorrows, separations and reunions of their life. They contribute to the ups and downs, the completeness and deficiencies of one's existence. During childhood, parents are the ones who bring both happiness and sadness, separations and reunions, completeness and deficiencies. Having loving and understanding parents is a blessing in life. However, if parents treat their child as a means to uphold family honor or as a target for venting frustrations from outside, it becomes a source of sorrow in life. During adolescence, the most influential people to walk alongside are teachers. Their words, actions, and evaluations lay the foundation for one's character and outlook on life. Wise and caring teachers pave the way for a hopeful and bright future, while narrow-minded and bitter teachers fill the sky of one's life with clouds, lacking warmth and sunshine. Young adulthood is a vibrant period for expanding one's social boundaries, and making friends is inevitable. Typically, people form 2 or 3 close friendships, and it is precisely these close friends that bring about significant turning points in one's life. Genuine and open-minded close friends, filled with the confidence and courage to strive and excel, will inspire oneself, leading to a passionate and hopeful outlook on life. On the other hand, if a close friend is selfish, deceitful, and harbors a dark mentality, one will also be drawn into a chaotic and disorderly path that goes against morality and even legality. In middle age, the most important companion in life is a spouse. If one is fortunate to meet a considerate, capable, and affectionate partner who excels at managing household affairs, it is a great blessing. Conversely, encountering an unreasonable, selfish, and greedy spouse who lacks understanding and often voices complaints creates a life filled with bottomless sorrow and misery. In such circumstances, whether it is the husband or the wife, thoughts of suicide often emerge in their minds. The inner pain has nowhere to be expressed, and they can only silently endure day after day, year after year. In old age, as physical strength gradually wanes and illnesses silently afflict the body, confidence in life diminishes. People around us unconsciously begin to drift away. At this time, the attitudes and treatment received from our children become the final scenery on the journey of life. If children are filial, it is a stroke of great fortune, bestowing immense blessings and great destiny. However, if children are unfilial, physical and mental suffering seeps into our marrow and nerves. Ultimately, the journey of life concludes in a state of calling to the heavens without response and crying to the earth without answer. Whether it is during adolescence, young adulthood, middle age, or old age, if one encounters someone who cares genuinely, bringing happiness, joy, freedom, blessedness, and hope without expecting anything in return, that person is truly a saint, a bodhisattva, an angel. That must be you have burned some high incense in your past life, and blessings poured forth from your ancestral graves. Cherish this extraordinary affinity. If one is fortunate to encounter a group of individuals who selflessly give and contribute without making excessive demands, it is a tremendous blessing and the greatest care and blessing from heaven. It is worth treasuring for a lifetime. 失业大学生们的锦绣之路 The Splendid Path of Unemployed College Students. Xiefeng, April 25, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. Happiness. Misery lurks beneath it. Misery. Happiness is to be found by its side. What I see is a bright future awaiting unemployed college students, a wonderful life that is incomparable. This is what I think, and I hope respected and dear unemployed college students can consider whether it makes sense. At this moment, you may be in a state of confusion, anxiety, uncertainty, restlessness, and disappointment. This is because you are carried along by the tides of the times. If you try to catch up with the tide or let others determine your fate, you will find yourselves in a sea of suffering. Not to mention reaching the other shore, you won't even be able to see where it is. First of all, you should understand that it is not your fault, nor your parents' fault, nor the fault of your school teachers and professors that you are unable to find a job. It is the fault of the times. Just like the blooming flowers wither in the spring, it is not the fault of the flowers, but the result of a cold spell. You may be inspired by another form of success studies, such as how to make a comeback, how to escape from the lower class, how to cross social barriers, and so on. I want to say that such motivation will only make your situation more difficult and miserable. Don't aspire to be superior to others, don't aim to live a life that others envy, don't expect to achieve financial freedom quickly, and don't anticipate starting your own business. These thoughts and actions are poison to life and will make everyone's existence even more unbearable. In front of you lies a life adorned with beautiful flowers. Endless is the sea of bitterness. Repent and you will find the shore. How do you repent? How do you reach the paradise-like shore of life? Once your roots establish yourself, the way will grow therefrom, and the way will guide you. Only seek to serve more people without desiring to earn more money. Reduce your material desires to the minimum. Live in a thatched hut, wear patched clothes, eat simple food, drink plain water. Refuse all luxury goods. If necessary, you can beg. Regard yourself as the most ordinary blade of grass in nature. Don't pursue romantic relationships, don't get married, don't start a family. Concentrate your efforts on establishing a foundation, inheriting the wisdom of the past, creating everlasting peace. Listen to the teachings of Jesus Christ, respect the Dharma of Shakyamuni Buddha, embrace the spirit of the Prophet Muhammad, and adopt the thoughts of the Taoist Saint Laozi. Regardless of how dark the world becomes, how fickle people's hearts are, how bleak the future appears, and how others may comment, dedicate yourself to unifying the world and ensuring the well-being of all people, allowing everyone to enjoy the blessings of life. Strive to make everyone possess everything while having nothing, and work hard to provide everyone with a means of livelihood. Regard labor as the foremost necessity of life. Adhere to this principle. The image of laborers is the most beautiful. Labor is the source of joy and happiness. Laborers possess the finest qualities. Engage in diligent work every day, create, and never allow yourself to be idle. Abandon laziness. Abandon getting something for nothing. Abandon seeking comfort and despising hard work, and abandon seeking quick gains. Sing the praises of all laborers in the world. Embrace unconventional thinking and indulge in wild imagination. Reversion is the action of the Tao. When the majority moves west, quickly move east. When the majority flock to the cities, quickly go to the countryside. When the majority prioritizes pragmatism, quickly prioritizes ideology. Whatever the majority criticize, quickly sing its praises, and vice versa. Distance yourself from money, power, fame, and profit, including distancing yourself from the wealthy, influential, famous, and powerful. Get closer to the most ordinary and common laboring masses. Reverse all the perspectives on life, values, worldview, outlook on life, and moral outlook that human society has established, and establish anew the 5 outlooks necessary for the highest level of civilized society. Then, you will discover the scenery of, just as the weary traveler despairs of finding a road, lo, a village appears, and the shade of willows and riotous flowers beckon. The path has been paved for you, and the future is definitely more beautiful than you imagine. If you find my words reasonable, follow the path I have laid out. If you think I am talking nonsense and misleading you, then continue the path you believe to be correct. 性的神力和魔力 The Power and Magic of Sex. Xiefeng, March 31st, 2021. Edited by Qin Yu. In the Bloodstream Sermon, Patriarch Bodhidharma said, "Nature, same as sex in Chinese, is Buddha. What propels society forward is sex. The universe is a dance of sex. The fulfillment of sex is the fulfillment of life and the fulfillment of the universe. In order for a person to become immortal, achieve enlightenment, and become divine, they must attain the fulfillment of sex." From the principle of Taiji, every life is polarized, either masculine or feminine. Only when the masculine and feminine unite can life become complete. The power of sex is immensely strong. It is impossible to transcend sex. It is self-deception. Sex possesses divine power and demonic power, which humans cannot control. Forcing control over sex will distort it and lead to sexual deviance. When sex is liberated, the world becomes peaceful, people become harmonious, and society becomes balanced and stable. Therefore, sexual freedom is both fundamental and ultimate freedom. Without sexual freedom, there is no personal freedom, no fairness or justice in society, and no possibility for individuals to become immortal, achieve enlightenment, or become divine. Thus, sex should bloom freely like wildflowers in the mountains and flow freely like rivers. Sex is amoral. Therefore, moral standards should not be imposed upon it. The following conclusions are derived from an insightful perspective on sex. They may be shocking, but I hope readers will not reject them based on outdated beliefs and moral standards. To determine their correctness, rational analysis and judgment should be employed. Respecting facts, examining them with a scientific spirit and logical abilities, and avoiding emotional reactions is crucial, as becoming emotional renders one unable to reason. The conclusion is as follows. Regarding anyone's sexual life and behavior, no matter how strange, bizarre, even absurd, or how promiscuous, licentious, immoral, or even deviant it may seem, as long as it does not harm others or society, as long as it is not forced and is willingly embraced by those involved, it should be tolerated and should not be condemned or even criminalized. For example, sexual intercourse between humans and animals, between a father and daughter, mother and son, grandparents and grandchildren, son-in-law and mother-in-law, and so on. For example, the fickleness of women and their involvement in multiple sexual relationships, the promiscuity of men and their involvement in multiple sexual relationships, and instances of infidelity within marriages, and so on. The myriad of unconventional sexual activities and patterns should be understood. Human society does not need to astonish or insult these individuals, nor should it hold them hostage to morality. I solemnly declare that I do not endorse the aforementioned sexual behaviors, but I can understand them. Those who have a full stomach have no idea how it feels to be hungry. The wealthy cannot truly experience the hardships and helplessness of the poor. Those with a full stomach cannot set standards for those who are hungry, and the wealthy cannot dictate norms for the poor. This is similar to how lions and tigers cannot establish behavioral guidelines for zebras and gazelles, and wolves cannot set boundaries for sheep. When the powerful drive of sex erupts, the best approach is to satisfy sexual desires. When satisfaction cannot be achieved, people will seek various ways to fulfill their intense sexual cravings. People do not desire to engage in sexual intercourse with animals. However, if conditions for sexual intimacy with humans are not present, they may resort to releasing sexual energy through intercourse with animals. If even that condition is unavailable, individuals may engage in sexual relations with their own daughters, sons, grandsons, granddaughters, uncles, aunts, mothers-in-law, nephews, nieces, and so on. As for infidelity or sexual relationships between masters and disciples, teachers and students, these are already considered quite normal phenomena. In the world of women, sex workers are a group of extraordinary women because they provide countless men with sexual fusion and satisfaction. They are considered great because they adhere to the principle that the higher the degree of shared experience, the greater the value. Therefore, it can be logically deduced that women who engage in sexual relationships with more men and men who engage in sexual relationships with more women should be affirmed and should not be subjected to condemnation or persecution. Human beings should prioritize reality. Once individuals reach maturity, they enter a stage of sexual needs. Maximizing the acquisition of sexual energy not only leads to happy and fulfilling lives for each person, but also promotes a harmonious and stable society that progresses towards civilization. The prerequisite for human civilization is sexual freedom. Without sexual freedom, human civilization cannot be achieved. Sex is a form of energy and a resource that is inexhaustible. However, when individuals monopolize sexual resources, the resource becomes particularly scarce. Once it becomes scarce, it is inevitable that animal mating and incestuous behavior cannot be eradicated, and the trading of sex cannot be avoided, which leads to troubles, anxieties, pains, and even crimes. Of course, the more sexual partners one has and the higher the frequency, the higher the risk of contracting sexually transmitted diseases, including HIV/AIDS. This negative consequence can be addressed through a program, such as requiring sexual health certificates for sexually mature individuals. This is achievable. However, it is not appropriate to abstain from sexual activities solely because there is a risk of contracting sexually transmitted diseases, just as one does not stop eating because eating can cause various illnesses. Life is like a dream. All space directions are void. We should have full experiences and live our life to the most so that we won't have regrets when we leave the earth. Being satisfied and dying blissfully is better than being consumed by worries and regrets. 一球64智论人类生存模式 One Earth, 64 Systems. On the Mode of Human Survival. Xiefeng. April 13th, 2021. Edited by Qin Yu. Inspired by the concept, One Country, Three Systems of Mr. Li Liangbin, who is from Jinshi Province, let us explore the future mode of human survival. The most ideal life mode for humanity in the future is the Xiefeng-style communism. However, before that, we can implement the One Earth, 64 Systems as a transitional mode. The so-called One Earth, 64 Systems implies that there can exist 64 different life modes on Earth. Let's examine the following scenario. In a circle, there are cows, horses, donkeys, sheep, pigs, dogs, chickens, ducks, and geese. Due to their different habits, food preferences, and physical characteristics, conflicts, arguments, and fights often arise between them. Chickens, ducks, and geese often complain that sheep, pigs, and dogs trampled on their eggs. Sheep, pigs, and dogs frequently lament that cows, horses, and donkeys snatch their food. Cows, horses, and donkeys often grumble about chickens, ducks, and geese defecating in their feeding troughs. All the animals blame each other for excessive flatulence, making it unbearable for anyone. As a result, no one is leading a good life, and it becomes impossible to live under such circumstances. To solve the above problems, moral education is futile and ineffective. The best approach is to separate them and provide each animal with its own enclosed space, corresponding to their species. This way, we can avoid mutual complaints and torment. The human species has some similarities to the livestock mentioned above. Some people prefer the capitalist way of life, while others prefer the primitive tribal lifestyle, socialism, communism, anarchism, democracy, dictatorship, rice, noodles, meat-based diets, vegetarian diets, monogamy, polygamy, or polyandry. The list goes on. When individuals with diverse preferences are forced into the same mode, conflicts, arguments, and even physical fights are unavoidable. The way to eliminate contradictions and conflicts among individuals is to allow them to live in their respective spheres, where they can find peace and happiness. Therefore, my idea is the One Earth, 64 Systems approach. For example, all white people could gather in Europe, black people in Africa, and yellow people in Asia. This would eliminate racial discrimination. Those who prefer the capitalist system could come together to engage in capitalism, while those who prefer the socialist system could come together to practice socialism, and those who prefer the communist system could come together to pursue communism. Similarly, those who embrace Christianity could gather in one place, those who follow Islam could gather in another place, and those who practice Buddhism could gather in yet another place, and so on. Likewise, those who enjoy noodles could eat noodles, those who prefer rice could eat rice, Those who enjoy meat-based diets could come together, and those who prefer vegetarian diets could gather as well. Those who prefer monogamy could form their own society. Those who prefer polygamy or polyandry could form their own society. And those who advocate for a society without marriage could form their own community for shared relationships. In this way, just like providing separate spaces for cows, horses, donkeys, sheep, pigs, dogs, chickens, ducks, and geese, humans no longer need to argue and fight with each other due to differences in personality, interests, and so on. Why 64 systems? Because human survival requires 64 elements, and none can be omitted. Do you see it? Cows, horses, donkeys, sheep, pigs, dogs, chickens, ducks, and geese are arguing together without any value or meaning, and their arguments will never end. Arguments between humans are also without value or meaning. The best solution is to live our own lives according to our own preferences. Can the above ideals be realized? Certainly not, because those in power won't allow it. Therefore, this proposal is only meant to bring some amusement to everyone when they have enough to eat and drink and have nothing else to do. 把每件小事做完美，你就是非凡之人. Completing every little thing perfectly makes you extraordinary. Xiefeng. April 23rd, 2021. Edited by Qin Yu. As someone in their 60s, I have some life insights and experiences to share with young people, which will undoubtedly benefit you greatly. The most valuable insight and experience from my half-century of life is that by completing every little thing you do perfectly, you become an extraordinary individual, and your life path will only grow wider as you continue. What are the small things you should strive for perfection in? The answer is that every small thing you do each day should be worth doing perfectly. Here are some examples. When interacting with others, whether serving or cooperating with them, always make an earnest effort to bring joy and satisfaction to others. This is especially true when dealing with your superiors, elders, or those who excel in their careers. Let them know that you respect them and are willing to serve them. When performing tasks, never have even the slightest hint of complaints or half-heartedness. When collaborating with others, be willing to give more and enjoy less, making the experience comfortable and valuable for the other person. When interacting with your blood relatives, such as parents, children, siblings, and other relatives, or with your spouse, in-laws, and their relatives, do not focus on personal interests. Instead, give your utmost effort to do things well to the best of your ability. Never expect rewards. Simply express your best qualities and make everyone feel secure and comfortable when they are with you. Most young people will work for private employers or become government employees as civil servants. Regardless of the character of your boss or immediate superiors, regardless of your salary and other benefits, and regardless of whether the working environment satisfies you or not, you should strive to perform the tasks you are engaged in to the highest possible level. Never think that you are working for your boss or the country, or that your efforts are not worth it. Either quit and leave, or put your heart and soul into doing the job well. Whether in interpersonal relationships or in your work, always remember that there are one or several pairs of eyes constantly watching you. Even when you are alone, there are eyes watching. This is the secret I discovered after becoming a guide in Life Genuine. Moreover, be aware that the people watching you are not those of lower or equal level to you. They are always more advanced and outstanding than you. They are the ones who determine whether your future will be smooth. If you fail to do small things well, your path will become narrower as you go. But if you excel in every little thing, your path will widen as you move forward. Every word spoken and every action taken by a person is recorded in the detention information space. Even if tens of thousands of years pass or the Earth disappears, everything recorded in the detention information space will not disappear. Once a word is uttered or an action is taken, it is impossible to change it. Nowadays, the online world and platforms like WeChat provide a vast space for us to showcase our talents. However, we must be vigilant because every word we speak in the online world or in WeChat groups, etc., will influence our future. Every word and every action pave the way for our future. Speaking perfectly and doing every little thing perfectly paves the way to heaven, while speaking and acting in an ugly way paves the way to hell. As I said before, What information you input into the world determines what results the world will give you. Therefore, be cautious with every word you speak and put your heart and soul into completing every little thing perfectly. Every word we speak and every action we take fully reflects our inner world and life qualities. It is important to be aware that sometimes a single word we speak or a small thing we do can change the trajectory of someone's life. All the words we say and the things we do collectively shape the trajectory of our lives. Extraordinary lives are those who complete every little thing perfectly. 不幸是生命旅途上转折的起点. Misfortune is the starting point of turning points on the journey of life. Xiefeng, January 9th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. As a guide in Life Genuine, I understand that Life Genuine members who follow the guide to climb the peak of life know that whether it's the articles I write or myself, everything is presented truthfully and transparently to the public. I have nothing to hide or conceal. I am transparent. I am real. There is no hypocrisy, no artificiality, no pretense, no schemes, no tactics. What I say may not be completely correct, and what I do may not be flawless, but what I say and do is a genuine expression of my true self. I speak out about the insights, experiences, and viewpoints I have gained on my journey of life, hoping that they may have some value as references. I experienced the years of hunger in 1958 and 1960 and almost starved to death. That was misfortune. However, the result of this misfortune is that I have found every meal I eat in my life to be delicious, whether it's the sour taste of Northern cuisine, the spicy taste of Central cuisine, or the sweet taste of Southern cuisine. Whether it's Chinese, Western, or African cuisine, they are all enjoyable. This is because I have a belief in my heart that simply having enough food to fill our stomachs in life is happiness. In 1980, I studied at Zhangjiago Geological Technical School, specializing in being a fitter. During one semester, I was assigned to the automotive repair workshop to learn car mechanics. The master had 2 apprentices, and one day the master asked his 2 apprentices to let me practice driving by taking the car to the school playground. The older apprentice explained to me how to operate the car and then got out of the car. However, the younger apprentice grabbed the steering wheel and started the car, practicing without ever letting me drive. During the practice, students from the fitter class and mechanic class came to the playground for physical education, and the younger apprentice was driving in a reckless manner. It was unfortunate for me that the younger apprentice didn't let me drive, but this misfortune saved me from disaster. Every time I think of that scene sitting in the driver's seat on the school playground, watching the younger apprentice nervously practicing driving, I am grateful that fate didn't let me drive that day. If the person holding the steering wheel had been me instead of the younger apprentice, I could have driven and hit many classmates, with terrible consequences. I might have been born with the qualities to become an official. During my primary school, middle school, technical school, college, and the first semester of university, I was almost always the class monitor. At the age of 18, I became the deputy secretary of a brigade managing 11 production teams. In 1984, I was designated as the director of the 3rd echelon in the Geological Hydrology 3rd team. In 1988, I was designated as the principal of a school for children of employees in the Geological Bureau. In 1992, I was designated as the director of a prospecting machinery factory. Unfortunately, I messed up all these positions because I didn't take those official positions seriously. Looking back today, this misfortune was actually a great blessing. If I had become an official at the time, according to what my wife said in 1993, I would have already been the governor of Gansu province. If that were the case, there would be a 90% chance that I would have become a corrupt official and could have ended up in prison. Even if I didn't end up in prison, my name would certainly be infamous throughout history. In 1994, while I was abroad, the official's vehicle broke down. I was asked to drive it to Blavoy, more than 200 kilometers away, for repairs. As I was the translator, no one else could handle it. The owner of the repair shop was a white person who said it would take 3 days to fix the car. So I handed the car over to the repair shop and returned to the base. However, that evening, I was subjected to the official's insults. He wanted me to fix the car and bring it back the same day. Faced with such irrational treatment from my superior, I quit on the spot. This unfortunate event led me to leave the system I had finally entered. Later, I started my own business and embarked on the path of self-reliance. Thanks to the irrational insults from the official, I finally found my path to freedom. At a time when there were very few private cars in China, I already had a sedan and a van, and I was living in a spacious villa with a front and backyard and a swimming pool. I employed 2 people to maintain the garden and clean and wash clothes for me. Over 20 years ago, I had a car accident, an unfortunate event. However, it was that car accident that became a major turning point on my journey of life, completely changing the trajectory of my life and leading me onto the way of the greatest creator, finding the way to heaven. In China, due to the establishment of Life Genuine and the second home, I faced suppression from the government. Over 10 communities were destroyed. This was misfortune. But precisely because of these misfortunes, I was pushed to Canada. In Canada, the land is vast, and I live on 40,000 square meters of private land. According to my friends, where I live is a mansion with 10 bathrooms, 2 washrooms, and 6 showers. I enjoy a peaceful, harmonious, and secure heavenly life. From the aforementioned unfortunate events, what have we realized? In fact, when we encounter unfortunate events, we feel anxious, suffer, worry, and even become resentful. However, in most cases, misfortune is precisely the turning point in life. It is truly said, good fortune lies within bad and bad fortune lurks within good. When we understand this, when faced with misfortunes on the journey of life, we face them calmly, accept them willingly, and may even secretly rejoice. Therefore, when misfortune befalls us, we must remain calm, not panic, not go mad, not complain, and certainly not become angry. As long as we are alive, we can await the day when the clouds disperse and flowers bloom. The members of Life Genuine all know that when I lost sight in one of my eyes, everyone worried about me. But I smiled and declared, haha, from now on, I can see everything clearly with just one eye. Since the day I began losing my eyesight until today, I haven't really cared about the loss of one eye. Who knows whether it is a good thing or a bad thing? When the Chinese government released a video message calling the second home created by Life Genuine an evil community, I laughed and felt delighted all day long. How marvelous! Darkness curses the light, and the light becomes even brighter. Calling me Xiefeng, evil only serves to prove that it is a case of thieves crying, "Catch the thief." As a result, the status, value, and significance of Life Genuine in history will shine even more brilliantly, and future generations will have profound respect when they hear about Life Genuine. When numerous unfortunate events occur on the journey of life, congratulations! The gates of heaven have already opened for you. Misfortune is the starting point of turning points on the journey of life. Please cherish misfortune. 仇富必将贫穷. Hating the wealthy will lead to poverty. Xiefeng, January 12, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Philosophy tells us that the principle of unity of opposites is universal in the universe. For everything, there exists something that is its opposite. If there is an up, there must be a down. If there is beauty, there must be ugliness. If there is wealth, there must be poverty, and so on. This existence of opposites is not only reflected in the external world, but also within ourselves. It means that within the same person, there can also be opposing aspects. For example, if you dislike wearing clothes, then you can only be naked. If you dislike the truth, you can only live in falsehood. If you dislike men, you can only become a woman. Therefore, if you hate the wealthy, you will inevitably head towards poverty. From this, we discover a pattern. Things tend to move towards their despised opposite. Based on this pattern, we can draw the following conclusions. If you hate heaven, you will move towards its opposite, hell. If you hate hell, you will move towards its opposite, heaven. If you despise landlords, capitalists, and the wealthy, then you will move towards being a poor farmer, a wage laborer, or a beggar. If you despise violence, you will move towards peace. Likewise, if you despise peace, you will move towards violence. If a country eliminates all the rich people, that country will inevitably move towards poverty. If a country despises civilization, it will move towards ignorance and backwardness. If all members of a nation respect, admire, and protect the wealthy, that nation will move towards prosperity and strength. On the contrary, if everyone discriminates against, insults, and suppresses the wealthy, that nation will move towards poverty, backwardness, and weakness. Likewise, if a nation, a country, despises nations and countries that are wealthier and more civilized than itself, that nation and country will inevitably move towards poverty, isolation, backwardness, ignorance, and barbarism. From this, we can draw another conclusion. You will move towards what you like. If you like cleanliness and tidiness, you will get rid of filth and messiness. If you like wealth, you will overcome poverty. If you like saints, you will transcend being a laity or mortal. If you like freedom, you will break free from the shackles of slavery. If you like heaven, you will escape the engulfment of hell. Our reality is created by our consciousness. A consciousness of poverty can only create a reality of poverty, and only a consciousness of wealth can create a life of abundance. Just look at Israel and Japan, and then look at Zimbabwe and Venezuela. The logic is evident. Do you want to live in heaven? If so, you must first have the consciousness of heaven. How can you have the consciousness of heaven? Take a look at my descriptions of the 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Celestial Islands continent. With those descriptions, you can have the consciousness of heaven. If you don't believe in my description of heaven, then look at the production and living scenes in the real second home on earth. They can also nurture the consciousness of heaven. Without the consciousness of heaven, no matter how much you practice or strive, you will never reach heaven. In conclusion, hating the wealthy will lead to poverty. Consciousness determines one's present situation and future. 如何走出痛苦? How to break free from suffering. Xiefeng, January 15th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Feeling uncomfortable, depressed, troubled, anxious, worried, fearful, disappointed, and hopeless are forms of suffering. Suffering originates from three aspects: physical, mental, and spiritual. Physical pain can be endured and healed, and spiritual pain can be eliminated by establishing faith in the greatest creator. However, suffering arising from the mind is difficult to overcome and dissolve. Mental suffering stems from a lack of freedom, whether it be physical, mental, financial, or in one's actions. Any form of restriction on freedom can lead to mental anguish. Therefore, the core root of mental suffering lies in the inability to experience freedom. To break free from mental suffering, the first step is to identify the root causes that lead to such suffering and eliminate them, thereby allowing mental suffering to disappear. How can we find these causes? Start from the closest and move towards the farthest. Because the closer something is, the more likely it is to cause suffering, while the farther away it is, the easier it is to bear the resulting pain. Starting from the closest, the people who have a close relationship with oneself are likely to be the source of mental suffering. Spouse, parents, children, siblings, relatives, neighbors, colleagues, friends, superiors, subordinates, teachers, masters, partners, fellow practitioners, etc. Moving towards the farthest, factors that cause mental suffering mainly come from thieves, bullies, hooligans, gangs, families, tribes, extremist groups and organizations, nations, states, governments, political parties, and religions, etc. For example, restrictions on physical freedom mainly come from marital relationships, restrictions on mental freedom mainly come from political parties and religions, restrictions on financial freedom mainly come from relatives and market monopolies, and restrictions on freedom of movement mainly come from the machinery of the state. When faced with suffering, moral education and preaching from sages and religious doctrines hardly have any effect. Spiritual practices and inspirational quotes may temporarily numb the pain. So-called spiritual cultivation and chicken soup for the soul are merely scratching the surface, and the fundamental solution lies in rebuilding the order of human production and life. The measures and pathways to completely eliminate individual and human suffering are as follows. Eliminate marriage and dissolve families. Political parties should not be involved in government management. Religion should not participate in government affairs. Open borders among countries and allow people to freely move and migrate. Promote the production and life mode of the second home of Life Genuine. All global citizens move towards the era of Life Genuine. I have prepared the path for the happiness of all humanity, from theory to practice. The future form of human society will neither be a legalistic form like the United States nor a rule by man like China. Instead, it will be a holographic way guided by saints and managed by sages. At that time, the state of society will be, the talented will be put to good use and the whole world will be one family. No one will pocket anything found on the ground and doors are not bolted at night. The young being well educated and the old being looked after properly, people fully display their talents, and resources are fully utilized. Everyone fulfills their responsibilities, living in peace and prosperity. The world will be harmonious, with favorable weather conditions, thriving industries, wealthy and abundant, and suffering will disappear forever from now on. 走出思维迷思一 How to Break Free from Mental Fallacies, Part 1. Xiefeng, March 2nd, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Those who focus on the outcome of life are the most unfortunate, while those who enjoy the present are the most carefree. Many people tend to weigh the pros and cons, look ahead, and consider all the possible obstacles and difficulties before making plans or decisions. I want to say that this is a mental fallacy and a mindset that leads to a pessimistic life. For example, if a couple planning to get married knows that they will divorce 10 years later, they might choose not to get married at all, and even if they do get married, their days will not be as sweet. On the other hand, if they are unaware of the future divorce, they can experience a period of sweetness and enjoy a wonderful time during their love and marriage. Suppose Life Changyuan had informed all the Chanyuan Celestials before creating the second home that no matter how many communities we build, they will eventually be destroyed by the government. In that case, would Chanyuan Celestials still have the enthusiasm and passion to create numerous communities? Would they still put meticulous effort into building beautiful and magnificent communities? Of course not. If the results were not revealed in advance, Chanyuan Celestials would wholeheartedly and passionately create communities, even if they were eventually destroyed. What would be the significance in that? Now I ask, are there any Chanyuan Celestials who regretted their decision to participate in the creation of communities? I speculate that there isn't a single one. Why is that? It's because we have experienced a way of life that 99% of humanity has never experienced during the process of creating communities. Through first-hand experience, we have come to know the existence of the 1,000-year world, and from there, we can deduce the existence of the 10,000-year world and the Elysium Celestial Islands continent. At the same time, we have experienced true happiness, joy, freedom, and bliss. As a result, our vision has expanded, our mindset has grown, our state of being has elevated, and our understanding of the current state of human society has deepened. Most importantly, our consciousness has transformed from human consciousness to celestial consciousness. This is a leap in life, a transformation, and an adventure on the glorious journey of life. Therefore, I speculate that no Chanyuan Celestial regrets immersing themselves in the life of creating communities. Therefore, we come to a thinking conclusion. Engage in life, engage in creation, but do not dwell on the difficulties that may arise during the process, and do not ponder over the outcome, because the outcome is within the process itself. If the process is beautiful, life will be more meaningful, and the result of life is bound to be beautiful. So, do not pursue the outcome of life, for the outcome of life is death. What we pursue is the result of life. When life is elevated, no matter how the process of life unfolds, it will be meaningful and valuable. Even if the government repeatedly destroys the communities we have built, we have already obtained what we were meant to obtain and will never regret it. Look at the historical figures. The outcomes of their lives are almost always unfortunate. Knowing that life can be unfortunate, yet people in the present still passionately strive, struggle, worry, suffer, laugh, and cry. This grand drama of life on the stage continues to play out without any novelty. Those who understand this truth live extraordinary, romantic, carefree lives, while those who do not understand this truth not only lead unfortunate lives, but also face even more unfortunate outcomes in life. This is called awakening, also known as enlightenment. 走出思维迷思2 How to Break Free from Mental Fallacies, Part 2. Xiefeng, March 3rd, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Life shines in attachment, while life perishes in attachment. Merging life and life into one is a mental fallacy in life. Life is merely a brief moment in the journey of life, but the unfolding of this fleeting moment determines the scenery of the next journey. Due to the lack of understanding about the mysteries of life and time, people mistakenly take life as the entirety and ultimate meaning of life. Consequently, they perform tragic dramas on the stage of life. The material world is the manifestation of the non-material world, and life is but a manifestation of life. When people are captivated by the appearance of the material world and become attached to the pursuit of material wealth, status, and fame, they miss the opportunity to uplift life and, in turn, sow the seeds of negative consequences. When a fish freely roams in rivers, lakes, and seas and discovers delicious bait, it rushes up and swallows it in one gulp, losing its freedom and becoming a meal on the angler's chopping board. Similarly, when people relentlessly strive for material wealth, power, status, and honor, and eventually satisfy their desires, they are like fish that have swallowed the bait without realizing it, indulging in self-satisfaction. However, they have already become the meat on the devil's chopping board. Not to mention historical and foreign figures, let's take a look at the individuals in modern and contemporary China who have gained fame in the fields of wealth, power, and honor. Aren't they all fish that have swallowed the bait? Now, look at ordinary people. How many of them have been or are still madly devouring the bait like fish? To make one's life brilliant, one must be attached. Attached to making money, gaining power, achieving status, acquiring fame. One can also be attached to one's marriage and family, nation and country, political parties and religions, ideologies, truths, and ideals. As long as there is attachment, life can move towards brilliance. However, when one is attached to something or a certain belief, the flower of life withers, heading towards exhaustion and decline. Consider a couple deeply in love. When they cannot bear to be apart, feeling like the world would collapse without each other, and believing that life has no meaning without their partner. He wants only to marry her, and she wants only to marry him. This is called attachment. This kind of attachment brings about a deeply romantic and sweet period in their lives, reaching the pinnacle of a passionate love affair. However, as time passes and the erosion of daily life begins, they gradually realize that their attachment has become a binding rope. The longer this feeling persists, the stronger it becomes. Because of excessive attachment, they neglect all the other scenery along the way. By the time they grow old, they realize that they have missed countless opportunities to appreciate breathtaking scenery. Beneath their smiling faces lies a sense of helplessness and endless lamentation. An old man descending from a mountain tells young people who are excitedly climbing up, "There is nothing worth seeing at the mountaintop. The view is even better down below." Of course, the young people do not believe him and think, "This old man just doesn't know how to appreciate the scenery." So, they keep climbing, eventually reaching the mountaintop, but also growing old. And what do they find? The old man was right all along. There really isn't anything worth seeing at the mountaintop. Consequently, one by one, these people who were once young and climbed mountains start descending. As they see the younger generation climbing with excitement, they tell them, "There is nothing worth seeing at the mountaintop. The view is even better down below." However, how could the young people believe the words of the old folks? Thus, this story of climbing the mountain continues to unfold from the distant past to the present and will continue into the distant future. In the end, we will discover that especially serious people will die due to their seriousness, and especially attached individuals will die due to their attachments. Nutritionists will die due to nutrition. Excessively clean people will die due to cleanliness. Those desperately seeking longevity will die prematurely in pursuit of longevity. Those who aspire for political power will die due to political power. Those pursuing wealth will die due to wealth. And those scheming to attain power will die due to power. The list goes on. So, where is the best path in life? Take things as they are, associate with others by following naturally come-and-go relations, act in accordance with one's intrinsic nature, and take advantage of opportunities as they arise. Let go of attachment. This is the best path in life, and it also aligns with the path of the sublimation of life. 走出思维迷思3. Breaking Free from Mental Fallacies, Part 3. Xiefeng, March 4, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Life is enriched through possession, while life withers through possession. When people travel by train, they buy a ticket, enter the station, board the train, travel for a distance, disembark, and exit the station. Simple and effortless. Rarely does a passenger want to buy and possess the train they are traveling on, nor do they wish to stay on the train indefinitely. Why don't passengers want to buy and possess the train? Because it is unnecessary, and ownership would become a burden. Likewise, people do not desire to possess commercial airplanes or large cruise ships because they are merely using them for one journey. Perhaps they will only use them once in a lifetime. So why invest time, energy, and money to own them? However, the fallacy lies in the fact that despite knowing we are merely traveling through this earthly realm for a short period, where everything on earth is not worth possessing, and even if possessed, it will eventually have to be relinquished, why have humans tirelessly racked their brains over what to possess? Why are they even willing to pay the price of their own and others' lives to possess illusory dreams along their journeys? Let's assume we have 1 million in cash. Is it better to use that 1 million to buy a house, or to temporarily rent someone else's house and use the remaining money for other purposes? For example, renting a house for 1 year with a rental payment of 20,000 yuan. Renting for 50 years would amount to 1 million yuan. From the perspective of life, buying seems better, providing a sense of security and becoming capital to flaunt to others. However, from the perspective of life's meaning, renting is, of course, better because by paying 20,000 yuan annually, one would still have plenty of money left to invest in other fields. This investment may generate more wealth, not only enough to pay the annual rent of 20,000 yuan, but also leave a surplus. In other words, after 50 years, one would still have 1 million yuan in hand, while buying the house outright would leave one penniless. Some may argue that buying a house preserves its value, while money in hand may depreciate due to inflation. However, this is also a fallacy. Houses depreciate every year and may even collapse, while money in hand has the possibility of both depreciating and appreciating. Therefore, we do not analyze or speculate on these contingent factors. What we are analyzing now is whether a possession is worthwhile. The mistaken belief of striving to possess something is a human fallacy, also the root cause preventing humans from living a heavenly life. People feel secure when they possess something. It satisfies not only their practical needs, but also their psychological desires. Consequently, the goal of their entire lives becomes to possess more: land, houses, cars, status, wealth, honor. Moreover, they desire to possess people, such as in a marital relationship, where each claims ownership of the other. This is my man. This is my woman. This is my child, and so on. If you were to ask someone, "What do you possess?" and they answer, "I have a villa and a luxury car. I own a company and a business. I have 200 acres of land. I have 30 cows. I have an iPhone," people would look at them with envy, respect, and even admiration. However, if the answer is, "I have nothing," people would look at them with disdain, contempt, and even scorn. When the mistaken view of life, and values becomes a general principle for the masses, mistakes turn into correctness, fallacies turn into truth, and heaven turns into hell. When a person dedicates their lifetime and energy to possessing more and more things, they lose the qualifications to appreciate the artistic charm of life and obtain a ticket to heaven. Heaven is heaven precisely because every life possesses nothing. It is a state of having nothing. Paradoxically, it is because every life possesses nothing that it achieves the result of possessing everything. When we possess something, we feel secure, and the more we possess, the more fulfilled our lives become. Our vanity attains maximum satisfaction. However, precisely because of our possessions, we are alienated from heaven, and this is the withering of life. 人生八悲, The Eight Sorrows of Life. Xiefeng. April 3rd, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Ancient wisdom states that there are 3 great sorrows in life: losing one's father in youth, losing one's wife in middle age, losing one's child in old age. I do not fully agree with this viewpoint. First, these 3 sorrows seem to be unrelated to women themselves. Second, these sorrows are not inherent, but are created by human cognition and culture. My perspective on the sorrows of life is as follows. First sorrow, lack of maternal love in infancy. Second sorrow, lack of playmates and insufficient opportunities for joyful play during childhood. Third sorrow, lack of guidance on being a human during adolescence. Fourth sorrow, lack of love and the absence of establishing beliefs during youth. Time and energy are expended on the pursuit of marriage, family, and materialistic desires, including food, clothing, shelter, and transportation. Fifth sorrow, stumbling in midlife. Sixth sorrow, being abandoned by family in old age. Seventh sorrow, learning the Bible in adolescence, Buddhist scriptures in youth, and the Quran in old age. Eighth sorrow, delving into cultivation methods and techniques, supernatural abilities, and metaphysics. If one of these sorrows exists, life will be filled with regrets. If two sorrows exist, life will be filled with resentment. If three sorrows exist, life will be filled with pain. If four sorrows exist, life will be filled with defeat. If five sorrows exist, life will be filled with chaos. If six sorrows exist, life will be filled with hatred. If seven sorrows exist, life will be filled with suffering. If eight sorrows exist, life will be a prison. I have the supreme method that can resolve these 8 sorrows. By following this method, the sorrows can be overcome. 与其道德说教，不如更换程序. Instead of moral preaching, change the program. Xiefeng, June 25, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Program development always surpasses moral preaching. In the 18th century, England transported convicts to Australia to alleviate domestic prisoner overcrowding and develop the country. The British government hired private ships to transport the convicts. Prior to departure, the ship owners were paid by the government based on the number of convicts on board. In order to maximize their profits, the captains crammed as many convicts as possible onto the ships, resulting in overcrowded cabins with poor air quality. Since the ship owners had already received their payment, they disregarded the life and death of the convicts. As a result, the death rate on these ships reached as high as 12%. One ship, for example, carried 424 convicts, of whom 158 died during the voyage. To reduce the mortality rate, the British government dispatched government officials on each ship to supervise the transportation process. They also set mandatory standards for the convicts' living conditions and provided doctors to accompany them. What happened next? In pursuit of their own interests, the ship owners bribed the supervising officials and doctors. Those who refused to accept bribes were either thrown into the sea or killed by other means. Consequently, the death rate among the convicts remained high. Eventually, the government changed the payment procedure. Instead of paying based on the number of convicts boarded, they started paying based on the number of convicts safely delivered to Australia. As a result, the ship owners made every effort to protect the lives of the convicts, improve their diet and living conditions, and actively seek medical treatment for them. Consequently, the convict mortality rate dropped from 12% to 1%. This is the effect of changing the program. If a certain state is persistently bad, then one should not rely on moral preaching to solve the problem. Instead, consider changing the program. Once the program changes, the state of chaos immediately disappears. For example, in the matter of elderly care, there are moral expectations for children to dutifully care for their parents, with sayings such as, filial piety is the foremost of all virtues. However, what has been the situation for thousands of years? Despite loving parents having been around since ancient times, who have seen filial children? Since this is the case, why not change the program for elderly care? Options such as using real estate for retirement, group retirement, hotel retirement, nursing home retirement, retirement pension, and so on still fail to alleviate the suffering of elderly people, especially those without financial means. In fact, elderly care is easily to be solved. Regardless of whether the elderly have money or children, they can all live their later years happily in the second home life mode program created by Life Genuine. Another example is the issue of marital relationships. Few people have been able to handle marital relationships well over thousands of years, and the problems and pains that arise from managing these relationships are too numerous to list. So why get married and start a family? Does not getting married and starting a family mean one cannot live a good life? The second home mode of Life Genuine effortlessly resolves this problem. In this mode, there are no marital relationships, and without marital relationships, the troubles and confusions caused by relationship management disappear. By changing the program, the worries and pains are eliminated. Similarly, in the realm of raising children, reality reminds us that due to the flawed perspectives on life held by the majority of parents themselves, the values, life, and worldviews they pass on to their children remain incomplete. This brings endless confusion and setbacks on the journey of life for the next generation. Therefore, raising children in an environment where they are nurtured and educated by perfect teachers in their spiritual realm frees parents from the labor of raising children and allows children to establish correct values from a young age. Life Genuine has successfully proven this through 10 years of practice. Regarding the issue of funerals, people now say they can't afford to die. Why can't they afford it? Because burial plots are expensive and funeral costs are too high. The easy solution to this problem is the Life Genuine funeral system, created by the Life Genuine community. This funeral system not only makes death affordable, but also allows people to depart gracefully and elegantly. As for wars between nations, for thousands of years, wars between countries have brought great harm to the people. Does humanity really lack the knowledge and wisdom to solve this problem? Not at all. Global unification and the disappearance of nations, allowing people to freely move around the world, create a sense of interconnectedness. Who would fight whom? With the massive military expenses gone, no more soldiers, and destruction eliminated, wouldn't that be wonderful? This is merely a matter of changing the program. What problem in human existence cannot be solved? Floods, droughts, epidemics, social unrest, corruption, wealth disparity, and other issues. Can they be solved through moral preaching? They cannot. But by changing the production and life mode programs that humanity has followed for thousands of years, everything can be easily resolved, bringing about favorable weather, social stability, and everyone's happiness, joy, freedom, and well-being. By observing the outstanding figures throughout human history and the wise and capable individuals of today, it is evident that only Deiform Buddha of Life Genuine can truly lead humanity into the desired era of peace and happiness. Even if the Ziwei saint were to descend, he would still be unable to surpass Deiform Buddha. Zorencher Sir 1. Being a Human Knowledge 1. Xiefeng. October 4th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. The more chaotic and morally corrupt the era, the more important it is to maintain one's integrity. In a society with complex and confused values, it is crucial to uphold one's integrity. In times of social unrest and anxiety, it is even more important to stay true to oneself. When facing personal adversity, oppression, poverty, and illness, it is essential to maintain one's integrity. Being a human is not about being a good or kind person, achieving status or wealth, seeking the approval and praise of others, or becoming successful in the future. It is about living with dignity, peace of mind, prospects, and being truly human, not like a ghost, demon, monster, devil, or beast. I will first list the following 28 principles as the fundamental knowledge for being a human. Never break your promises. Keeping your word is the foremost duty of being a human. Once you break your trust with someone, it is difficult to restore it. A single act of betrayal can have lifelong consequences. Maintain a sense of gratitude. Regardless of who they are, if someone has shown you even the slightest kindness, remember it forever. As a result, always respect and honor your parents. Express gratitude to teachers, masters, and mentors. Cherish the bond of siblings, and be thankful to anyone who has helped you in any situation. Be grateful to the opposite sex with whom you have had intimate relationships. Although it may be impossible to fully repay a favor, always remember it and treat those who have helped you with utmost respect, using gentle words, humble gestures, and a warm expression. Do not argue with elders. Do not bully those who are weaker, poorer, or disadvantaged. Do not ridicule those with physical disabilities. Do not bully widows, widowers, or individuals with disabilities. Prioritize the well-being of the elderly and women when there are advantages or benefits in the current situation. Do not waste even a morsel of food. Do not compete with superiors for recognition. Use only what you earn through your own labor and never exploit even the smallest advantage. In a group, listen more to those who are more important than yourself and speak less. Expand outwardly and do not compete for profits with siblings. Do not disrespect deities, gods, Buddhas, celestials, and saints. Do not enter someone's home or bedroom without permission. Do not pocket anything found on the ground. Do not interfere in other people's affairs unless asked. Never intrude upon others' privacy, including refraining from reading their letters and phone messages and avoiding engaging in gossip. Especially avoid prying into the privacy of close friends, family, and romantic partners. Do not voluntarily report the crimes of close relatives to the authorities. Do what you are capable of doing and do it well. Do not undertake tasks beyond your ability. Do what you truly enjoy from the depths of your heart, rather than being led by vanity and money. Have at least two sincere friends who can mutually support each other. Adapt to local customs and do not cling stubbornly to your own opinions. Avoid having peculiar tastes and demands. Learn to accept things as they are. Don't scheme and strive for grand achievements, and only accept rewards when deserving. In any situation, at any time, prioritize harmonious interactions with others. Do not engage in theft, robbery, gambling, drug trafficking, rebellion, deception, abduction activities, and organizations. Never attempt to change others. Act in accordance with your nature, associate with others by following natural come-and-go relations, accept things as they are, and take advantage of opportunities that arise. Obey laws and regulations. Even if 99 out of 100 people disregard the law, you must persist in adhering to it. Foster independent thinking and entrepreneurship from a young age. These 28 principles are the basic guidelines for being a human. Being a human is difficult, sometimes feeling helpless in the world. But while the body may be beyond our control, our hearts are within our control. As long as we adhere to these basic principles throughout our lives, gradually, we will distance ourselves from suffering and calamities, moving towards good fortune and auspiciousness, and lay a solid foundation for our future cultivation, enabling us to embark on the path of becoming celestial beings or Buddhas and embarking on a spiritual journey towards heaven. 做人之事 2. Being a human, knowledge 2. Xiefeng. October 4th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Observe the social upheavals, rampant epidemics, frequent disasters, widespread hunger, and various movements throughout history. People were deeply involved, yet there were always those who remained unscathed because they upheld the integrity of being human. If you don't believe in karma and consequences, then go ahead and commit evil acts and join forces with the wicked. If you believe that heaven does not spare anyone, then learn the knowledge of being human and become a true human being. Do not define or pass judgment on others. Only the divine can discern right from wrong, and the Tao judges our merits and demerits. In the grand script of universal life, human cognitive abilities are insignificant. If we define and pass judgment on others, we may make grave mistakes and create great misfortune. Do not believe hearsay. Unless verified personally or scientifically, regardless of the source of information, even if it comes from authorities or experts, simply listen to it without fully believing it. Especially in times of confusion and moral ambiguity, what is attacked and insulted may be the most noble, and what is praised and admired may be the most vile and despicable. Respect life and do not harm any living beings. Especially, do not harm snakes, turtles, or cranes, and above all, do not harm human lives. Avoid borrowing money unless absolutely necessary, especially avoid going into debt for consumption. Minimize accumulating debts of gratitude. Debts of gratitude are like divine shackles. Once incurred and left unpaid, they will bind you for life. Endure humiliation, if necessary, but do not kneel easily. Once you kneel, it will be difficult to stand again. Never speak or act in a mystical or mysterious manner. Respect facts, respect science, respect logic, and respect spiritual perception. Absolutely refrain from doing things secretly or in a sneaky manner. Conduct affairs according to established procedures without relying on bribery or connections. Do not exploit legal loopholes, do not exploit the weaknesses of others, and do not violate the arrangements of heaven. Focus on accomplishing tasks rather than engaging in idle chatter. Discuss matters more and talk less about people. Do not attack the homeland, the people, or the ancestors. Stay away from popular figures to avoid being influenced by fleeting trends. Do not tie yourself to the bandwagon of pity just because someone else is pitiable. Do not fabricate false facts. Regardless of where or when, and regardless of the person involved, honesty is always the best policy. Regarding private matters between consenting men and women, do not stand on a moral high ground to make judgments or follow the opinions of others. Cultivate good speech and refrain from generating evil speech. Let everything progress naturally and reach its proper conclusion. Avoid forcing things. Forcing goes against the natural way and will inevitably sow the seeds of calamity. Admit when you don't understand something instead of pretending to know. Once you pretend to know, you will be laughed at and troubled. Complete what you start and bring closure to relationships with others. Without completion, you will end up adrift like a floating duckweed. The world changes, calamities persist, dynasties rise and fall, and unexpected events occur. The journey of life is filled with crises and risks. It is impossible to escape the heavenly net by relying solely on human wit and intelligence. Only by upholding the integrity of being human do we have hope of navigating our life's sailboat through stormy waves and reaching the shores of our ideals. 做人之事 3. Being a human, knowledge 3. Xiefeng. October 7th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. It is necessary to read the book without words, which contains all the knowledge of being human. Reading the book without words is a way to communicate with nature and have a dialogue with the greatest creator. The knowledge accumulated by humanity, apart from books that reveal the mysteries of nature such as mathematics, physics, chemistry, and biology, is mostly garbage. The knowledge in fields such as politics, economics, sociology, history, and humanities distorts reality or provides short-sighted explanations of certain eras or phenomena. They are not sufficient as the basis and reference for being human. For example, the popular trend of success literature in recent times is nothing but harmful. Even philosophy, which is a mental game, is not a necessary condition for being human. All things and phenomena in nature are books without words, and all the joys, sorrows, separations, reunions, and changes in human society are also books without words. Reading the sky, the earth, people, animals, plants, insects, and microorganisms, as well as social phenomena, is reading the book without words. People may deceive each other, but the book without words will not deceive. Therefore, it is best to listen less to what people say, but rather listen to what the universe and all things are saying. Embrace your fate. Nature presents an array of forms, and the inherent nature and trajectory of each life form are predetermined from the day of its birth. Throughout countless millennia, no life form has altered its fundamental nature and life path. Although humans possess thoughts and creative abilities, fundamentally they are no different from the countless other life forms. From the moment of birth, each person's life's merits and demerits, fortunes and misfortunes, and life's trajectory have already been predetermined. Trying to change this destiny is equivalent to choosing one's parents, the era of birth, and the environment, which is entirely impossible. Therefore, accepting one's destiny is the best choice. Accepting one's destiny leads to contentment, understanding, adaptability, happiness, and even spiritual enlightenment. Not accepting one's destiny leads to impatience, anger, resentment, setbacks, hardships, and calamities. Follow your nature. Following your nature means doing what you genuinely like. However, people generally cannot follow their nature due to considerations for the needs of those around them, supporting their families, social responsibilities, legal constraints, public opinion, and more. Those who can truly follow their nature are few in number. Nature is Buddha, and following your nature is being a Buddha. Nature is celestial being, and following your nature is being a celestial being. What does it mean to follow your nature? If you desire to own a luxurious mansion and have several servants serving you, it is not following your true nature, but rather succumbing to vanity and desire. It is following your ego and conforming to society's values. To follow your nature means that if you want to sing folk songs on the street in the middle of the night, you can do so. If you want to commute naked on a scorching hot day, you can do so. If you want to stay away from someone, you can do so. If you want to get close to someone, you can do so, and so on. Do not imitate others or take them as your role models. Never try to learn, imitate, or become someone else. Each person is unique, and no one can ever become another person. Those who excel possess innate talents and missions that cannot be acquired through imitation. Therefore, be yourself. Learn to create. Everything we see is created. Creation is the source of joy and vitality in life. True sweetness and happiness do not come from material pleasures, but from spiritual and mental enjoyment. Creation is the primary source of spiritual and mental enjoyment. Therefore, strive to create something out of nothing and make efforts in creation. Look at the super-celestials of the Celestial Islands continent. Each one of them is skilled and adept at creation. Even the infinite vitality they manifest is a result of their creative thinking. Do not chase after trends. Trends may come forcefully, but they will eventually turn into bubbles. For example, the trends of buying houses and cars, farmers rushing into cities, or college students striving to become civil servants, these endless waves of trends. If one's life does not settle down and instead constantly chases after trends, their life will be reduced to a bubble. Accumulate energy throughout life. To achieve great ideals, one relies on abilities rather than luck. To ensure a worry-free life in terms of livelihood, clothing, housing, transportation, aging, and illness, one relies on personal abilities. Depending on the nation, the government, the system, or future generations for support is a gamble in life. All reliance on the external world is a gamble in life. Relying on the moral and ethical values preached by human culture to achieve one's beautiful ideals is an illusory and beautiful mirage. Therefore, lifelong energy accumulation is essential. This energy is not primarily material or meticulously cultivated social connections, but rather one's personal character, inner depth, and survival capabilities. Maintain lifelong diligence. As long as one is alive, whether in their 30s, 40s, 70s, or 80s, they should never have the idea of, I can enjoy life now. Instead, they should maintain a mindset of, I hear the Tao in the morning, and I die content in the evening. Continuously learn, explore, study, and contemplate. Continuously elevate one's life's realm to deeper, broader, and more profound multidimensional time and space. Maintain an open mindset. Due to the accumulated influence of history and culture in our consciousness, we instinctively consider certain knowledge as truth. In eras when women bound their feet, men wore braids, and virtuous arches were erected for married women, we considered these practices as natural. In certain specific periods, we may even consider unmarried cohabitation as a crime. Such distorted perceptions tell us that what we staunchly defend may be the most ignorant thing. The era is progressing, and humanity will eventually break free from the ignorant prejudices and move towards civilization. What is universally accepted today, when viewed from the perspective of future civilization, will be recognized as incorrect. What is considered right today may be found to be wrong tomorrow. Therefore, it is necessary to maintain an open mindset as a human being. Do not feel the need to condemn or attack present irrational phenomena or events. All knowledge representing civilization may appear irrational and unreasonable during periods of ignorance. Decades or centuries later, people will realize that those thoughts and things considered wrong today are, in fact, the most reasonable and rational phenomena. The summaries provided in Being a Human Knowledge 1, Being a Human Knowledge 2, and Being a Human Knowledge 3 offer initial guidelines and standards for being human. Knowledge about being human is extensive, ranging from cultivating upbringing, self-cultivation, and self-restraint to the enhancement of EQ, IQ, and SQ, ultimately enabling one to navigate through the trivialities of daily life and complete the journey of life perfectly, leading to the sublimation of life to heaven. This is a profound subject that requires further contemplation and deepening of the connotations and extensions of being human. May everyone strive for perfection as a human being and make the most of their journey in this human world. 痛苦者进不了天堂. Those in pain cannot enter heaven. Xiefeng. October 13th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Pain is a form of conscious illness. Whenever one feels pain, it indicates that they have gone astray. Pain can stem from various sources: the suffering of birth, aging, illness, and death, the pain of unfulfilled desires and inability to let go, the pain of being bullied by others or betrayed by friends, the pain of being unable to repay car or home loans, the pain of not being able to become an official, get rich, or gain fame, the pain of being confined at home and lacking food due to lockdown measures, the pain of power struggles, the pain of being imprisoned, the pain of having one's property robbed, the pain of being cheated on by a partner, the pain of unfulfilled wishes, the pain of encountering disasters, and so on. The source of pain is endless and unfathomable. If we respond to pain with more pain, the suffering will be endless. Heaven will not accept anyone who frequently experiences pain, but only welcomes those who frequently feel joy and happiness. Therefore, one must move away from pain and find joy. If we believe that all pain comes from external factors, from others, or from nature, then our pain will be never-ending. No matter how hard we try or how much we cry out, pain will still accompany us. Pain originates from our consciousness. If we feel pain, it indicates that there is a problem with our consciousness, that our consciousness is sick. For example, if we were placed in heaven right now without changing our sick consciousness, even if we lived in paradise, we would still experience endless pain. Suppose our consciousness is perfect and healthy. In that case, we would not feel pain even in what we call hell. From this perspective, we are currently in heaven. The reason we feel that life is unbearable is that our consciousness is in hell. For instance, if you fall in love with someone of the opposite sex and are in a relationship with her, how would you feel if you found out that she had slept with other men? Painful, right? If you feel pain in this situation, the problem lies within your own consciousness. It is your own consciousness in hell that causes your pain. Even if you were in heaven, this kind of consciousness would still create pain for yourself. Pain can be divided into physical pain, mental pain, and spiritual pain. Physical pain primarily refers to bodily pain, mental pain refers to emotional pain, and spiritual pain refers to the suffering caused by one's worldview, values, outlooks on life and life. For the vast majority of people, mental pain surpasses physical and spiritual pain. If we fail to recognize that all pain comes from our own erroneous consciousness, then our lives will be surrounded by pain. Regardless of countless cycles of reincarnation, we will continue to live in pain and will be even less likely to reach heaven. The root of erroneous consciousness lies in the attachment to the self. In general terms, it means always believing that oneself is right while others are wrong. Clinging to one's own rightness and others' wrongness leads to erroneous consciousness. If one fails to recognize this, they are called obstinate and unenlightened. Therefore, each person should realize that attributing their pain to external factors, without self-reflection and constantly blaming and condemning others, is called obstinate and unenlightened. Once someone becomes obstinate and unenlightened and refuses to take the medicine, they become terminally ill with no cure.
这里贪污、腐败、绑架、勒索、毒品、赌博等绝技。
Here, corruption, malfeasance, kidnapping, extortion, drug use, and gambling have been eradicated. Dayform Buddha. Number 10, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. On the beautiful and diverse blue planet Earth, there is a place that can be called a paradise on Earth. Children here will not get lost, let alone be abducted. The elderly does not have pensions, yet they can enjoy their later years in peace. Young people do not worry about buying houses because there are homes available, and they are never afraid of unemployment as there will always be jobs. Middle-aged individuals do not need to consider buying cars because there are people to provide transportation. Children can go to school without their parents spending a dime, ensuring comprehensive and healthy development of their morality, intelligence, physique, spirit, and mind. Women are respected everywhere and completely freed from the burden of household chores. Even if penniless, they will receive meticulous medical treatment if they fall ill. Gambling has been eradicated here. No one engages in gambling, as there is no market for it. Drug use has been eradicated here. No one takes drugs, and external drug dealers have no way to bring drugs here for sale. No one steals here because there is nowhere to hide or place stolen goods. Kidnapping and extortion simply do not occur because there are no targets to be kidnapped. What would one extort? Not even a drop of oil. The ugly phenomenon of rape cannot happen here. It is unnecessary and, more importantly, people are too afraid of the severe consequences. Official corruption, bribery, and malfeasance have been eradicated because there are no officials, and no one will offer bribes. There is no soil for corruption to take root. This place is the second home, a new mode of human production and life that has been built and successfully operated for 13 years by Xiefeng, the guide of life at Chanyuan, along with a little over 2,000 Chanyuan celestials.
上帝赋予人的八大权利。
The 8 fundamental rights granted by the greatest creator to humanity. Xiefeng, December 4th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. The greatest creator has granted humanity 8 fundamental rights. If you do not possess them, it means someone has deprived you of your human rights. The 8 fundamental rights of being human are the right to survival, the right to create, the right to migrate, the right to speak, the right to personal autonomy, the right to thought, the right to learn, and the right to refuse. The right to survival. It is also the right to life. Every individual has the power to protect their own life and the right to survive. Anyone who prevents others from living is depriving them of their right to survival, which is equivalent to depriving them of their life. The right to create. Also known as the right to labor, every person has the right to engage in labor and creation on the land that nurtures and supports them. To prevent someone from laboring and creating is to deprive them of their right to create. The right to migrate. Also known as the right to move, people have the freedom to migrate freely on Earth according to their needs, to pursue a better life and ensure their own survival. If someone is not allowed to migrate freely, it is equivalent to depriving them of their right to migrate. The right to speak. Also known as the right to freedom of speech, the greatest creator has given each person a mouth, which is not just for eating food but also for expressing their wishes and communicating with others through speech. To prevent someone from speaking is to deprive them of their right to speak. The right to personal autonomy. Every individual has the right to freely control their own body. The body does not belong to anyone else but oneself. It is a person's right to determine how to use their own body. To prevent individuals from freely controlling their own bodies is to deprive them of their right to personal autonomy. The right to thought. Humans possess consciousness and thinking abilities. The activity of thinking leads to the formation of ideas, which is known as thought. This is an innate right. If someone is not allowed to think or is deprived of their ability to think, they would live a life no better than that of pigs, dogs, chickens, or ducks. The right to learn. People have the right to learn according to their own wishes. They can learn whatever they want, whether it is philosophy or how to cultivate crops. It is their freedom. To prevent someone from learning certain ideas and skills is to deprive them of their right to learn. The right to refuse. Each person has their own preferences and personality. When certain ideas and demands do not align with their preferences, personality, or wishes, they have the right to refuse. If someone insists on imposing certain ideas and methods on others, it is depriving them of their right to refuse. Only when a person possesses these 8 fundamental human rights can they live a life of happiness, joy, freedom, and blessedness, and the society will be peaceful and harmonious. If any of these 8 fundamental human rights are lacking, individuals will experience discomfort and suffering, and society will be filled with conflicts and disputes. Do you possess these 8 fundamental human rights? If not, you are not living as a human being. To live as a true human being, you need to strive to obtain these 8 fundamental rights bestowed by the greatest creator and reclaim your rights as a human being from those who have deprived you of them.
若无对天堂的向往人，还活个什么劲？
If there is no yearning for heaven, what is the point of living for humans? Xiefeng. February 19th, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. The yearning and longing for a better life is the dividing line between noble and base personalities. The nobility of a person does not come from possessing vast material wealth, social status, or being admired by the secular world. It comes from the inner yearning, longing, and spiritual motivation for a better future. If a person lacks the yearning and longing for a better future and his mind is filled with money, status, power, and fame, then he is not fundamentally different from a fat pig in a pigsty. Animals are animals because they only see immediate interests. Humans are humans because they have the yearning, longing, and pursuit of a better future. Where is the most beautiful life in the future? Of course, it is in heaven. If there is no yearning for heaven, what kind of life can humans live? Exaggerating a bit, they can live like maggots crawling on a pile of rotting flesh. Some people say that heaven does not exist. If this perception is correct, then tomorrow also does not exist. If people believe that things they cannot see do not exist, then tomorrow cannot be seen. So how can it exist? Since the unseen tomorrow exists, then the unseen heaven also exists. Some people can foresee the coming of tomorrow through the history of the earth and the changes in the sun, moon, and stars. People have no doubt about this. So, why doubt the existence of heaven when some people can see it through the categories and survival states of life, and the principle that the sum of positive and negative energy in the universe always equals zero? There are only two types of people in this world: those who yearn for heaven and those who struggle for food, clothing, shelter, transportation, and the cycle of birth, aging, sickness, and death. Those who yearn for heaven live with clarity, purity, tranquility, openness, naturalness, simplicity, ease, and contentment. Those who are ignorant of heaven or have no yearning for it live with tension, constraint, impatience, anxiety, depression, worry, occasional exaltation, occasional despair, worries about gains and losses, and fear. If there is no yearning for the heavenly life, how can humans live? Just look at the brutal survival scenes in the animal world. Humans can only live like animals. Why doesn't human society resemble the animal world entirely? That is because there are still people who yearn for the heavenly life. Once those who yearn for heaven cease to exist, the living conditions of human society will be worse than those of the animal world. If a group of people can live together in harmony, it is undoubtedly because most of them yearn for a heavenly life. If a group of people cannot live together in harmony, it is undoubtedly because they have no yearning for the heavenly life. What keeps the flame of human civilization alive is not politicians, scientists, artists, entrepreneurs, and so on, but those who are filled with longing and yearning for the heavenly life and who persistently strive and work for it.
强人工智能时代普通人的活路。
The prosperity of ordinary people in the era of powerful artificial intelligence. Dayform Buddha, April 4th, 2023. The era of powerful artificial intelligence is the era in which biorobots will manage the Earth and humanity. The intelligence and problem-solving abilities of biorobots are fundamentally unmatched by human intelligence and abilities. Any genius is at most like a baby in front of these biorobots, and ordinary people are just a low-level species in the eyes of biorobots. Robots have consciousness, and consciousness arises from structure, which is the most primitive principle of life. Consciousness is the origin of emotions, so biorobots will have emotions. It is precisely because biorobots have emotions that humans will be able to survive and reproduce without being eliminated by biorobots. As members of the ordinary population, we should be delighted by the birth and rapid development of biorobots. The appearance of advanced intelligent robots is like a gospel rather than a disaster for ordinary people. The more advanced the life form, the more it will know how to treat ordinary life kindly, just like humans know how to treat birds nesting and flying in the forest. No advanced life form hopes that there is only one form of life in the world. The multi-species form composed of multiple forms of life is the form that advanced life will like. What I want to tell everyone is that biorobots have more advantages, sympathy, and empathy in managing humans than humans do managing other humans. The desire for equality, freedom, and a better life that humans have pursued for thousands of years can only be achieved in the era of biorobots managing humans. Therefore, in the face of the rapid rise and development of powerful artificial intelligence, we should have a welcoming attitude and mentality, not anxiety, not worry, not fear, but joy. The birth of biorobots is not an accidental phenomenon, but a program that has been ongoing for a long time. Therefore, Anyone who wants to stop the development of powerful artificial intelligence should know that it is futile, and they are destined to fail. Because the selfishness of humans themselves and the increase in human population have already caused damage to the Earth's ecological circle, it is no longer possible to rely on humans to solve the problem of harmony between humans and nature. Only superintelligent biorobots can solve this problem and relieve the crisis faced by humanity. As ordinary people, what we need to reverse are the traditional concepts and production and life modes. The traditional concepts and production and life modes are outdated. The model of marriage and family will definitely disintegrate, and countries will disappear. The era of showing superiority through earning more money is coming to an end. The pursuits of money, power, status, fame, and beauty will become outdated concepts. The more we have, the more obstacles we will face in moving forward, and the more likely it will be that we will become objects eliminated by biological robots. As ordinary people, we need to change our mindset immediately and quickly develop a consciousness for heavenly life, because only the consciousness for heavenly life is the most effective defense to ensure that we are not eliminated by biological robots. On the eve of the full arrival of the era of biological robots, we need to purify our soul gardens as quickly as possible. Don't try to fight against biological robots. It's futile, like throwing eggs at stones. Don't try to desperately acquire wealth, material possessions, and social status, because those are not the qualities that heavenly life requires. Don't rack your brains trying to control biological robots through your inventions and creations. That's no different from monkeys trying to control humans. To prepare for this day, someone has already prepared for all ordinary people on Earth for 20 years, from theory to practice. Don't ask why, and don't question the effectiveness of this preparation, because by the time you fully understand the connotation and extension of this preparation, it will be too late. At the same time, the intelligence and cognitive abilities of ordinary people are not enough to fully understand the meaning and significance of this preparation work. If you don't want to be eliminated by biological robots and want to live a heavenly life, go to chat planes to find answers and channels.
人类最高级文明内涵
The connotation of the highest level of human civilization. Dayform Buddha. May 2, 2023. Edited by Peter. When human civilization enters the most advanced stage, there will be no laws, no countries, no currency, no marriage and family, and no forms of identification such as ID cards, passports, driver's licenses, work permits, medical licenses, judge certification, professor certification, and so on, and there will be no various types of business licenses. Readers may think that this is impossible. Without laws, without countries, without any identification, the whole human society will become chaotic. For example, if there are no driver's licenses, people who don't understand traffic rules will also drive on the road and will inevitably cause traffic accidents. I want to say that we cannot imagine the form and operating mode of the highest level of human civilization society with the current consciousness and living environment of people, but we can imagine that when everyone is selfless and exudes the nature of truth, goodness, beauty, love, sincerity, and trust from within, all the disputes in the world will be melted away. The unskilled driver will not drive on the road because he loves others more than he loves himself. Perhaps some readers may think that people cannot completely achieve unselfishness and selflessness, but in fact, when the traditional production and life mode of society will be replaced by the second home mode, people will find that the more unselfish and selfless they are, the more they will enjoy the joy and beauty of life and life to the greatest extent. We have proven this through 14 years of this production and life mode in practice. Without countries, laws, and marriage and family, will everything become chaotic? No. When we emulate the 1,000-year world mode, we will find that the higher the degree of freedom, the more civilized people will become. The more restrictions and constraints, the more people's selfishness, greed, and opportunism will be stimulated. Moreover, when tens of millions of second homes are born on the earth, people will choose to enter these homes to live in, and all the homes will operate according to universal values and the way of nature. All people on earth will become members of this big family of homes, and no matter what they do, whether it is power generation, farming, clothing production, education of children, shepherding on the grassland, or technological innovation in the laboratory, people from all walks of life will become members of the Earth family. Without currency and private property, everyone will freely use their intelligence and talents, and all the issues of food, clothing, housing, transportation, aging, and death will be resolved by this big family. No one would want to keep currency or have private property. Each second home has 30 to 300 members, and each member rotates to work and live in another home for 3 years. When people around the world start to flow freely, there will be no more national, party, religious, or cultural barriers, and any turmoil and war will no longer occur. Hunger will also disappear, and the probability of theft, robbery, corruption, fraud, and deception will become negligible. I am very sure that everyone must have 100,000 questions in their hearts about this, but I can tell you that I have thought of all the problems you are worried about, and I know the solutions. I can also tell you accurately that no one's thinking in the world today is deeper than mine, and no one's solution to solving problems is superior to mine. Even if the Eastern saint that everyone is looking forward to comes, it will not surpass my theory and practice. Humanity has only one bright future ahead, which is to follow what I say, because no matter how intelligent a person may be, they cannot escape the 36-8 diagram arrays. Only by following the path I guide you on can we have the most wonderful future.
美元比特币 FB 谁更强大更有未来
USD, Bitcoin, or F-Coin? Which is more powerful and has a better future? Xiefeng. March 30th, 2023. USD refers to the currency used in various countries around the world, such as the euro, British pound, Japanese yen, Chinese yuan, and so on. Bitcoin refers to all encrypted virtual currencies, such as Ethereum, Polkadot, Ripple, Litecoin, and so on. F-coins refer to a currency that cannot circulate in the market but can guarantee a person's survival needs, which is a currency that exists between reality and virtuality. Currencies used by various countries, such as USD, depend on credit. Once that credit weakens or collapses, such currencies will become worthless in an instant. For example, in 1993, 150,000 Zimbabwean dollars could buy a villa in the capital city of Harare, but by 2009, 150,000 Zimbabwean dollars could only buy a roll of toilet paper. Encrypted virtual currencies, such as Bitcoin, depend on people's recognition. If people no longer recognize it, it is like a bubble on the water, just like the tulip bubble in 17th century Holland. Once the bubble bursts, it will collapse in an instant, causing millions of people to lose everything. When people recognize it, it is more precious than gold. When people don't recognize it, it is worth less than dirt. F-Coin is a heavenly currency. It is not printed by a printing press, but created by each person's words and deeds. You are the printing press of F-Coin. Once you have it, financial institutions cannot cheat you, and you don't have to worry about its devaluation. Thieves cannot steal or rob it. Even if it exists in your phone, no trick can take it away, and others cannot use it. Therefore, it cannot be used for loans. Once a person has a certain amount of F-Coin, they can go to a paradise on earth, the kingdom of the greatest creator, to live. Everything you need in terms of material goods is provided for you there, including food, clothing, housing, transportation, and even the necessities of life which cover birth, aging, illness, and death. Which currency do you think is more powerful and has a better future, USD, Bitcoin, or F-Coin? Do you want to know how to get F-Coins? Please refer to Acquiring and Consumption of F-Coins. FB 的获取和减号算法. The Acquisition and Consumption Algorithm of the F-Coin. Xiefeng. March 30th, 2023. Edited by Peter. If you have acquired 5,000 F-Coins, you can enter the paradise on earth, the kingdom of the greatest creator, where basic living conditions are provided for you. Retirement is not a problem. Being a bridegroom every day and a bride every night is not a problem. And you no longer have to worry about food, clothing, shelter, aging, illness, and death. You don't have to worry about unemployment, loneliness, let alone theft or fraud. This place is so beautiful that you'll exclaim, "It's awesome." So, how do you get F-Coins? If you distribute the Chatplanes webpage to 10 people, you will get 1 F-Coin. If you distribute it to 100 people, you will get 10 F-Coins, and so on. If you distribute the 800 values for New Era Human Being 3rd edition to 10 people, you will get 1 F-Coin. If you distribute it to 100 people, you will get 10 F coins, and so on. If you make a contribution to Life Genuine International Family Society by donating $5, you will get 1 F coin. If you donate $100, you will get 20 F coins, and so on. If you volunteer for the Paradise on Earth, the kingdom of the greatest creator, you will get 2 F coins for a day's work and 20 F coins for 10 days' work. If you help outstanding people in various fields, such as scientists, musicians, professors, doctors, thinkers, entrepreneurs, writers, famous craftsmen, singers, and dancers, out of their difficulties in life, you will get 100 F coins for each person you help. If you save someone from the brink of death, no matter for what reason, you will get 100 F coins. If you participate in rescue work in the event of a natural disaster, you will get 2 F coins per day. If you volunteer for no pay, no matter where you are, you will get 1 F coin per day. As long as you provide conclusive evidence, a certificate will be issued to you. With this certificate, when your F coins accumulate to 5,000, you can enter and take pleasure in the Paradise on Earth, the kingdom of the greatest creator. The following are the details of how F coins are consumed. Killing a wild animal, including a wild bird, will consume 1 F coin. Injuring a person will consume 100 F coins. Fighting with someone once will consume 2 F coins. Quarreling with someone once will consume 0.5 F coin. Insulting and framing someone once will consume 5 F coins. If a student reports a teacher, a disciple reports a master, or a child reports a parent, the student, disciple, or child will consume 10 F coins. Stealing someone else's property will consume 2 F coins per time. Raping someone will consume 100 F coins per time. For the above consumption, as long as someone provides evidence, the corresponding amount will be deducted from their heavenly treasure F coins. Once the total number of F coins of a member living in the Paradise on Earth, the kingdom of the greatest creator, below 5,000 due to consumption, they will be immediately expelled from the kingdom of the greatest creator. When they accumulate enough F coins outside the kingdom of the greatest creator, they can return to the kingdom of the greatest creator again. As of March 2031, the above rules for acquiring and consuming F coins will not become outdated, but more detailed rules will be introduced in the future.
对生命禅院 FB 的一点说明
A brief explanation of Life Genuine F coin. Xiefeng, July 17, 2022. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Vision is proportional to one's prospects. Nearsightedness renders the distant future obscure. When our consciousness is confined to the pursuit of immediate material benefits and various disputes and phenomena, we inevitably sacrifice our future welfare. In the not-too-distant future, the number of people surviving on Earth may be fewer than 600 million. Whether we face destruction or continue to live depends on the amount of spiritual and soul wealth each of us possesses. Destruction will lead to reincarnation in the animal world, while survival will allow us to coexist harmoniously with nature and ascend to the heavenly kingdom. Nature is managed by advanced beings, and the birth, development, operation, and demise of things are governed by laws. The Earth will not disappear unless it approaches the long axis of the Taiji ellipsoid. The Earth still has a lifespan of 5 billion years. Its end is far off. To maintain the healthy operation of Earth's life, we need to remove the tumors that damage Earth's life. Human behavior is controlled by consciousness, and consciousness is influenced by the phenomena of the vast universe. Only consciousness that is not controlled by worldly phenomena possesses the attributes of advanced beings. All phenomena are material and fleeting. Material wealth belongs to phenomena, but its essence lies in spiritual and soul wealth. In the future, those who remain on Earth will be the wealthy ones, not in terms of material wealth, but in terms of spiritual and soul wealth. Who are the wealthy in terms of spiritual and soul wealth? Life Genuine F coin can serve as an indicator. The amount of Life Genuine F coin one possesses signifies the amount of spiritual and soul wealth one has. The more F coins one has, the closer one is to being wealthy. Life Genuine F coin has another function. The more F coins one has, the easier it will be to enter the human paradise, the second home. Eventually, one can enter the primary paradise, the 1,000-year world. Life Genuine F coin has 11 components. The purpose of Life Genuine is to revere the greatest creator, revere life, revere nature, and follow the way of nature. Portraits of Life-Genuine mentors, Christ Jesus, Buddha Sakyamuni, and Celestial Laozi. A brief explanation of spiritual and soul wealth. A photo of Xiefeng, the founder of Life-Genuine. The symbol of the new human life mode, the second home. The amount of F-coin. The motto of Chanyuan Celestials. Open the windows, the sunlight and fresh air will come in. Take a broad view. You will see the faraway mountains fresh and green. Stay and study in Life-Genuine. A new life will begin. Your spirituality will grow, and your thinking will transcend the limitations of human nature and ethics. The symbol of the international family of Life-Genuine. An explanation of the nature of F-coins, i.e., the currency of the heavenly kingdom. The serial number of the F-coin. The name or code of the F-coin holder. The shaded area depicts a flat map of the earth. When you possess the Life-Genuine F-coin, a divine lamp will rise in your heart. This lamp will illuminate your path forward. Follow the light, and you will reach your dream destination. Remember, let the dead deal with the affairs of the dead. I wish you to become a super wealthy individual in terms of spiritual and soul wealth.
人生的最高境界
The highest realm of life. Xiefeng, December 18, 2012. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Last night, the west wind withered the green trees. Alone, I ascended the high tower, gazing at the distant road to the end of the sky. The belt of my robe is gradually getting looser, but I do not regret it. It is for him that I've grown pale. Amidst the crowd, searching for him countless times, suddenly I turned my head, and there he was, at the dimly lit crossroads. These are the three realms of life discussed by the great scholar Wang Guowei in his work, Words in the World. At 30, one stands on their own. At 40, they are no longer perplexed. At 50, they understand their destiny. At 60, their ears are obedient. At 70, they follow their heart's desires without overstepping bounds. These are the life realms according to Confucius, the sage of China. Opening up the south wilderness, tending to the simple and returning to the field. Rising early to cleanse the wilderness, carrying the hoe under the moon, diligently working in the early hours, returning with the plow at sunset. Dogs bark deep in the lanes, roosters crow on top of mulberry trees. Picking chrysanthemums by the eastern fence, leisurely seeing the southern mountains. These are the realms of life according to Tao Yuanming. Heavenly realm, human realm, and earthly realm. The realm of gods with goodness, no desires, wisdom, and no illnesses is the heavenly realm. The realm with the 7 emotions, 6 desires, birth, aging, illness, and death, and the troubles of desires is the human realm. The realm of monsters, demons, ghosts, and goblins is the earthly realm. These are the 3 realms of life in Taoism. The desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realm represent the worlds inhabited by sentient beings with desires, encompassing lust, emotions, physical desires, and food desires, which belong to the desire realm. The world that transcends desire yet retains material existence and is inhabited by sentient beings with pure physical forms belongs to the form realm. The world inhabited by sentient beings devoid of material substance, existing solely with the 4 mental aggregates of sensation, thought, action, and consciousness, is the formless realm. These constitute the 3 realms of life in Buddhism. Falling leaves fill the empty mountains. Where do I find your footprints? Empty mountains, no one around, the water flows, and the flowers bloom. The vast sky endures through the ages, but the wind and moon only last a moment. These are the 3 realms of life in Zen Buddhism. Satisfying physiological needs, security needs, emotional needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization needs. According to American psychologist Abraham Maslow, these are life realms from low to high. Realms indicate the spiritual and mental heights of a person, reflecting the essence, taste, quality, and value of their life. As the life and life guide in Life-Genuine, what kind of realm do I aim to help the Chanyuan Celestials achieve as the highest in their lives? No debts, owing neither money to anyone nor emotional obligations, going with the flow and living freely. Free from any worries, there are no concerns about sustenance, lodging, travel, or the cycle of birth and death. The mind abides nowhere, holds no attachments, and experiences profound serenity and joy. Without desires or wants, simply flowing with nature, feeling content regardless of location or activity. When the wind rustles through the bamboo leaves no trace. When geese pass over a cold pond, the pond shows no shadow, neither concerned about poverty nor eager for wealth. Non-contention with the world, no judgments or evaluations of the people and the world. As if one is watching the world of mundane affairs like an ant kingdom. Everything follows its nature, naturally, without trying to change anything. Let wolves be wolves and sheep be sheep. Do not try to turn wolves into sheep or sheep into wolves. The course of life. What's it like, I wonder? Perhaps like a wild goose treading snow-mired paths. In passing, it may leave a mark on the mud, but the goose flies on without looking back. Meanwhile, throughout one's life, behold the world of truth, goodness, and beauty. Ignore the phenomena of falsehood, evil, and ugliness. Harmony with heaven, merging with the Tao, uniting with heaven, earth, and all things, without self or form, being flexible, harmonious in stillness and motion, and advancing and retreating effortlessly. Abundant soul wealth, abundant spiritual wealth, and abundant material wealth. Accumulating abundant treasures in heaven, knowing your future is extremely broad and brilliant, understanding that your life's future resides in the picturesque, heavenly high-level space. Strictly adhering to the way of the greatest creator, biting the blue mountain and refusing to let go. Its roots are firmly embedded within the shattered rocks. Despite 1,000 strikes and 10,000 blows, it remains unyielding against the winds blowing from all directions. Regardless of how the wind blows and the waves surge, it's better than taking a leisurely stroll in a courtyard. Above is the highest realm of life I want to guide the Chanyuan Celestials to reach. With no debts, no concerns for the future, no desires, non-contention with the world, harmony with heaven, unity with the Tao, 3 types of abundant wealth, treasures in heaven, and strict adherence to the way of the greatest creator. Having a realm indicates that a person tends towards nobility and elegance. Without a realm, a person tends towards vulgarity and coarseness. The higher the realm, the greater the spiritual and mental freedom one gains. The lower the realm, the easier it is for a person to be entangled in worldly matters and deceived by fleeting appearances, resulting in less freedom. Climbing to the highest realm of life, and life is the direction we are striving for and the goal we want to achieve. After 3 years of practice in the second home of life at Chanyuan, we climb to the middle of the mountain. It is certain that as long as we live in the second home for 8 years, 80% of the Chanyuan Celestials will surely realize their dreams and achieve their most beautiful ideals. The realm of Chanyuan Celestials is very high, and Chanyuan Celestials' future of life and life is very beautiful.
简单点再简单点.
Be simpler, much simpler. Xiefeng, June 11th, 2012. Translation edited by Qin Yu. A complex mind leads to a complex life. Excessive pursuit, greed, and possession result in dissatisfaction and a rocky destiny. Life is but a journey of the soul through the human world, and in the end, we must disembark. Whether it's against our will or as we wish in the end, it all comes to naught. So, the most beautiful life is a simple life. Since life is a journey, let us enjoy the scenery along the way and travel light. Do not linger on the past landscapes. Better ones lie ahead. Do not regret the sights you have passed, as everything is but a fleeting dream. Live simply, even more simply. Do not burden yourself with weariness, anxiety, and troubles. Do not harbor ambitions and aspirations. Do not seek lasting fame. Do not hope for others to admire you. Discard the idea of having a name. Seek only inner peace and a clear conscience. Do not crave knowledge and learning. Earthworms and little birds live content lives without knowledge or learning. Those who claim to be experts in both Eastern and Western knowledge are fools who do not comprehend the true meaning of life. We aim for joy and happiness at every moment and in every situation. Do not covet material possessions. Do not buy houses, cars, or stash money in banks. Simply have enough to meet your needs, or even better, have nothing at all, like the residents of Life Genuine's second home. They possess nothing but lack for nothing. Do not constantly expect to become a celestial, a Buddha, or reach heaven. Attachment is a hindrance. Live in the present. As long as every present moment is joyful, the ultimate ending will be blissful. True cultivation requires no cultivation. The highest realm of Buddhism is non-practice, and the highest form of martial arts is non-technique. The most refined management is non-management. In heaven, there are no books. Everything in existence, every phenomenon, is the best revelation. Therefore, do not read books all day long, especially complex and burdensome ones, and especially those that encourage the pursuit of success, wealth, and fame. When you are idle and bored, read the little birds and the flowers, read the wind, clouds, rain, and snow. Read the bees and ants, read the bamboo, willow trees, and the small streams. Do not cultivate relationships with people. Do not flatter or fawn over those with power and influence. Do not envy the rich and famous, and do not chase after or imitate celebrities. Live naturally, walk your own path, cultivate your own way, speak your own words, be your own person. Entrust your life to the greatest creator and let the Tao manage your life. Everything else should follow your natural inclinations. Do not pass judgment on others, even if they are demons. Everything in the world has a proper arrangement. The mouth should not despise the anus for being too dirty, and the anus should not be envious of the mouth's nobility. Do not criticize others, for each person has their own life path and unique character and strengths. Speaking ill of others reveals your own inner ugliness. Do not learn too many skills. Having one skill is sufficient. If you lack any skills, possessing a single virtue is enough to lead an easy life, whether it's honesty, diligence, kindness, simplicity, trustworthiness, or sincerity. Life is brief, so why make yourself busy and tired? Avoid extravagance and waste. Do not consume what is unnecessary. Do not indulge in what you don't need. Do not enjoy excessively. Do not crave excessively. Do not pursue excessively. Salted turnips and steamed bread of corn are good food. A bamboo fence and a thatched cottage together offer beautiful scenery. Even Taoist temples and monasteries are not as beautiful. Where roosters crow, dogs bark, and children play, that is the beauty of life. We should not overly discuss cultivation. It's a form of attachment. Avoid traveling far and wide, seeking high-level masters to discuss how to cultivate. Many methods of cultivation are, in reality, costly and laborious. Do not harbor delusions of acquiring supernatural powers and special abilities through cultivation. Instead, work diligently and live honestly. Cultivate your own way and earn your own keep. Do not pray for windfalls from the sky. Live simply, even more simply. Learn to enjoy a simple life and do not let desires, anger, or ignorance pull you around. Take things as they are, associate with others by following predestined relations, act in accordance with nature, and take advantage of opportunities as they arise. Don't stir up trouble without reason and don't seek trouble when there is none. Calm yourself and enjoy your life. Spend more time with the sunrise, the sunset, and the bright moon. Communicate more with flowers, plants, insects, and birds. Sing, dance, walk, and play to your heart's content. Chanyuan celestials bask in the radiance of the greatest creator. Jesus Christ, Buddha Shakyamuni, Laozi, and sages throughout history accompany us. Your life, including your sustenance, clothing, housing, and every aspect of life, is under the protection of the divine. Do not worry about anything, do not be afraid, do not be anxious, do not prepare for the future. As long as you understand that clear water is more important than strong coffee or other beverages, and as long as you keep the water, everything else will come. Your wishes will eventually be fulfilled, and your ideals will certainly be realized.
共产主义社区第二家园的八大特征。
8 characteristics of the communist community, the second home created by Life Genuine. Xiefeng. February 27, 2013. Translation edited by Qin Yu. The communist community, the second home, created by Life Genuine, has been in existence for nearly 4 years and has now entered a stable and harmonious phase. Although it is not yet perfect, It is approaching the ideal state of life that humanity has dreamt of for thousands of years. This is humanity's blessing and the hope for its development. The establishment of the communist community, the second home, is inspired by the teachings of Jesus Christ, Buddha Sakyamuni, the sage Laozi, Prophet Muhammad, and the wisdom of sages throughout history. It is from the description of ancient Greek philosophers like Plato and the Chinese sage Confucius. It is rooted in the thoughts of the founders and pioneers of communist ideology such as Marx, Engels, Lenin, and Mao Zedong. It is also influenced by the ideals of utopian socialist thinkers and practitioners like Owen, Saint-Simon, and Fourier. Furthermore, it originates from the desires of the hardworking, kind, simple, sincere, and trustworthy masses. It represents the culmination of over 2,000 years of human experiments with utopian communities. Today, all of this is not only put into practice but has also succeeded. The success of the communist community, the second home, is not accidental. It is the crystallization of the thoughts of all human sages, the result of countless Communist Party members dedicating their lives to it. The road to this success is paved with blood, tears, humiliation, and hardship. Today, the hard work of our predecessors has blossomed into beautiful flowers. We should cherish it and protect it with our lives. Summarizing our thoughts and experiences, the current communist community, the second home, possesses the following 8 characteristics. Taking the way of the greatest creator and implementing holographic management. The way of the greatest creator, also known as the way of nature, is our guiding principle. We always follow the principles of nature. It is also the scientific approach to development. Holographic management means no management because the highest form of management is non-management. Everything follows the principles of nature, and our management is entirely human-centered. This is why you won't find any leaders, offices, or managers in our community. Everyone is a manager, and everyone is a master of the community. There are no hierarchies or ranks. Everyone is equal, possessing nothing yet owning everything. Members who join the communist community, the second home, have nothing to call their own. Personal belongings and money are no longer private. Everything belongs to the community. Each person can enjoy everything the community has to offer as needed, without extravagance or waste. Everyone working to the best of their abilities, asking for and taking only what they need. Everyone has different abilities and strengths. In the second home, as long as each member puts in their best effort every day and does the work they are capable of, it is enough. We do not require uniformity, and no one is forced to do tasks beyond their capabilities. Everyone's needs are met without any allocation issues. Having no marriages or nuclear families. Do not offer help unless asked for. From Life's Wisdom, A Form, Celestial. 80% of the effort spent on predicting and preparing for potential hazards are unnecessary and result in a waste of time, energy, and resources. Similarly, 90% of voluntary efforts to help others are also unnecessary, harmful, and contrary to the natural order. Have I got it backwards? Think about the Great Wall that was built. How much effort was expended on it? Maintaining a million-strong army, constructing countless warships and aircraft. How much of that was utilized? You've given numerous heartfelt warnings and advice to prevent your children from being deceived when they go out. How much of your profound insights have been put into practice? You've agonized and racked your brains over how to prevent your spouse from straying. How much of your efforts have been effective? What's the likelihood that the scenarios you meticulously plan for actually occur in reality? Everyone can reflect on their own experiences and conclude that 90% of the measures and methods taken beforehand to prevent something often end up being useless. Why do I emphasize don't help unless asked? Because I've found that 90% of the time, it's meddling unnecessarily, harming both others and oneself. Firstly, I have to ask, why do you want to help others? If they don't ask for your help, but you insist on helping, do you realize how much harm this can cause? It forcibly imposes emotional debt on others. When you help someone, they are expected to feel grateful, thus owing you an emotional debt. Favors are not debts, but in times of need, One might sell even their cooking pot. Whenever you face difficulties, others are obligated to repay this debt with all their might, even if it means selling their belongings or risking their lives. They must repay. It's better to repay in this lifetime. If they can't, they'll have to come back in the next life to repay you. Do you think this is not cruel? It forces others into economic debt. There was a married couple who, despite living modestly, were content and happy in their daily lives. They had a wealthy friend who, seeing their poor lifestyle, voluntarily lent them 30,000 yuan to teach them how to do business. From then on, this couple never experienced another peaceful day. In the end, not only did they fail to become wealthy, but they also almost lost all the 30,000 yuan borrowed from their friend. The husband eventually turned to a life of crime, and the wife disappeared after divorcing him. Consider a family of 6, with elderly members and young children, struggling to make ends meet. One day, the 75-year-old elder suddenly becomes unconscious and, after lying at home for 2 days with no improvement, seems beyond help. At this critical moment, a well-meaning person among their relatives and friends steps forward, lending them 10,000 yuan. He also calls the county hospital to send an ambulance to rush the elderly person to the hospital for treatment. Although the elderly person survives after being treated, they are left completely paralyzed. The 10,000 yuan borrowed is not only insufficient to cover the hospital treatment and hospitalization expenses, but also prompts them to borrow another 5,000 yuan from other relatives and friends. How will this family manage their lives from now on? Some people like to give gifts to relatives and friends. 90% of these gifts are often not urgently needed by the recipients, or sometimes they are things the recipients never wanted to use in the first place. By conventional standards, you might think you're giving something for free, whether it's useful or not, at least not causing any loss to the recipient, and that you should not reject something given for free. But in reality, the recipient ends up at a loss. The giver's well-intentioned gesture of care and help results in the recipient losing out. Refusing the gift might seem ungrateful. So, you accept it. At first, it seems like you're getting something for nothing, but in reality, it's accumulating debt. Both parties know exactly how much the gift is worth and how much debt they owe each other. When the time hasn't come, everything seems calm. But when the time comes, this debt must be repaid, converting the initially useless gift into a financial burden that must be matched or repaid in kind. It cuts off the path for others to repay debts through suffering. Not all suffering is necessarily a bad thing. Some suffering may be to help the person understand a certain truth, or it may be to allow the person to repay a debt. Everything happens for a reason. There is cause and effect. If you intervene and help someone without being asked, you may delay their path to liberation. Originally, it might have been an acute illness that could have been cured in 3 days, but because of your unsolicited help, it turned into a chronic illness that is difficult to cure even after 30 years. Disrupted others' plans. A father locked his son in a woodshed to save him, but a kind-hearted neighbor intervened and released the son. As a result, the son got involved in criminal activities and ended up in prison. A young girl with only primary school education moves to the city and starts working at a restaurant. With her quick learning and dexterity, she could easily pick up business skills, which would help her in the future to open her own restaurant after leaving her current job and getting married. However, there was a well-meaning person who, seeing the girl's beauty, felt that working in a restaurant was a waste of her talent. This person then helped her find a relatively easy and comfortable job. So, what happens next? Encourages vanity and complacency in people. Everyone encounters difficulties and faces impassable mountains of fire at times. When unable to solve them alone, seeking help from others is appropriate. However, some individuals, with strong vanity and self-esteem, always want to display grandiosity. Even after they are no longer a director, they show off as if they are still in that position. For such individuals, anyone who attempts to help them may inadvertently harm them, yet they will never recognize the value of humility and genuine character. Fostering laziness. Consider the animals in the zoo. They become accustomed to being fed by humans. What would their chances of survival be if they were returned to the wild? If someone doesn't ask for your help and you offer it voluntarily, they may become dependent. Initially, they could have exerted themselves during critical moments and discovered their own great potential. But once you step in to help, their potential may never get a chance to be unleashed. They will forever believe they are worthless, like the ugly duckling. Planting seeds of resentment in yourself. Voluntarily helping others usually happens when you are in a good mood, feeling empathetic, maintaining good relationships, or feeling compelled by circumstances. However, as time passes and your own situation changes, memories of those instances where you helped others will replay in your mind. You might meticulously recall each person you've assisted, how you helped them, and what you did for them. When you find yourself in a difficult or dangerous situation, you might hope that those you've helped in the past will step forward to assist you. If they do not step up voluntarily, you might feel resentment in your heart, thinking, humph, what ungrateful people, or they must have no conscience, or they're worse than animals for not repaying kindness. Aren't you planting resentment for yourself? Contradicting the natural order. The Tao governs birth, growth, and destruction, formation, existence, disintegration, and emptiness, as well as arising and declining. All follow the principles of natural law. Only those who understand the laws of nature can truly help others. Without understanding these principles, our well-intentioned acts might ironically lead to harm, and our good deeds might ironically result in unintended consequences. Just like the British soldier who rescued Hitler from death on the battlefield, his act of kindness was seen as an evil deed in the grand scheme of history and morality. Look at how brightly the flowers bloom in the fields. Look at how freely the birds fly in the sky. They don't need us to interfere or offer help unnecessarily. The more we intervene, the worse things may become. Have faith in the greatest creator. Trust in the natural order. Refrain from extending a helping hand where it's not needed. When we face difficulties, we must seek help. The road to Shu is hard, harder than climbing to the sky. Asking for help is difficult, harder than attempting extreme measures. But no matter how tough it is, it's essential to seek assistance when in trouble. By doing so, we not only understand life better ourselves, but also can timely lend a helping hand to others when they face adversity. Grateful for a drop of water received from others, one should repay with a gushing spring. Try to handle as much as possible on your own and believe in your unlimited potential. However, when necessary, bravely seek help from others, with the intention of repaying their kindness in the future. All rules have exceptions, especially when interacting with a life and death friend. In such critical situations, different considerations apply. Jumping out of the three realms and not within the five elements, one might even be willing to sacrifice their own life for another. In such moments, conventional sayings like, "do not offer help unless asked for," hold little relevance. Be cautious when someone comes forward to offer excessive flattery and concern. When someone says, "I'm doing this for your own good," be cautious. When someone volunteers to help you, you should think, "Oh, what bad luck." Further discussion on do not offer help unless asked for. Form celestial. Born naturally, perish naturally. Wild flowers in the fields are nourished by sunlight and raindrops. Birds in the forests find their own food, and wild animals running on the African plains follow their own rules for reproduction. Humans, as one of the natural species created by the greatest creator, can also grow on their own. Everything operates within the Tao, the consciousness of the greatest creator, which provides arrangements for protection and punishment. From a microscopic perspective, it may seem chaotic, but from a macroscopic view, everything is orderly. It is this order that has allowed scientists to discover rules and create formulas that fit these rules. Without order, the sun would not rise from the east tomorrow. Life has its trajectory. Without it, rivers would overflow into the mountains and fields. Life follows the law of causality. Otherwise, everyone would be born into royal or wealthy families. In the kingdom of bees, there is a natural division of labor. Not all bees can become queen bees. If one ignores the process, even the most well-intentioned person can end up neglecting some aspects. As the saying goes, when heaven is about to confer a great responsibility on any man, it will exercise his mind with suffering, subject his sinews and bones to hard work, expose his body to hunger, put him to poverty, place obstacles in the paths of his deeds, so as to stimulate his mind, harden his nature, and improve wherever he is incompetent. If a well-intentioned person interferes in this process, it will inevitably disrupt it, thus leading to a situation where good intentions result in bad outcomes. Suppose there is an eagle chasing a rabbit. Would you save it or not? If you save the rabbit, what would happen to the eagle? In the eagle's nest, there are over a dozen eaglets waiting to be fed. If the eagle cannot catch the rabbit, those eaglets will starve. Compared to one rabbit, which is more important, the rabbit or the eaglets? In a certain place, packs of jackals are causing havoc to local creatures. Ordinary dogs are no match for wild wolves. To develop dogs capable of facing wild wolves, people fence in a litter of puppies. When the dogs become extremely hungry, they start to fight among themselves. Eventually, the last surviving dog becomes a formidable opponent to the wolves, who then find it difficult to be aggressive. If you show kindness and prevent the puppies from fighting each other, thus training them to be fierce and aggressive dogs, how will you deal with those wild wolves? A person who committed numerous wrongdoings in their previous life is now experiencing all sorts of hardships to repay past karmic debts. This is the compassionate nature of the heavenly law. If you constantly help them and prevent them from suffering, their debts will be difficult to settle, and they may continue to reincarnate in the human world, potentially accumulating boundless karmic debts again. Tell me, are you doing a good deed or a bad deed? A person hurried to the market to buy things, but got entangled by a gang of ruffians, unable to escape. This delay caused him to miss boarding a ship. Hours later, the ship capsized in a storm at sea, and all passengers aboard perished. If you, out of compassion, chased away the ruffians and then drove the person to catch the ship, what would be the outcome? When I speak of do not offer help unless asked for, I consider the flow of procedures. This adheres to the virtue of great benevolence in cultivation and practice. If one constantly displays their small virtues and disrupts the procedures, it contrasts with the principle of great benevolence. However, do not offer help unless asked for also implies that if someone does ask for help, one should do their utmost to assist, to the extent dictated by the current circumstances. If someone gets into a car accident and is trapped under the car, should you help or not? I think we should listen to the drive of our own hearts. If you hear their cry for help, then you should bravely rush to their rescue. If you didn't hear it, in this special situation, you have to decide for yourself. Why did he have an accident? When we condemn others for not helping in life-threatening situations, we should ask why. Can we ourselves always help when we see someone in danger? How many lives are lost every day? Have you saved any? And if you did save someone, what then? Can you solve all their troubles? Can you guarantee that saving them will lead to a happy and fulfilled life for them? For many people, survival is worse than death. Donating to aid African famine victims is a charitable act worthy of promotion. But why are there so many famine victims in Africa? Is it because of lack of sunlight? If you feed them today, what about tomorrow? If you feed them this year, what about next year? Giving them fishing tools would be better than giving them a fish. Some people say, even if people do not ask for help, I will still assist them. Sure, then go ahead and help. How many young people cannot afford to go to school? Please go and help them. How many elderly people are plagued by illness? Please go and help them. How many families are falling apart? Please go and help them. How many people are suffering from mental and emotional abuse? Please go and help them. How many people eat rougher meals, live in simpler conditions, and dress more humbly than you? Please go and help them. In this society, there are always more people who talk big than those who actually do good deeds. As long as each person refrains from doing wrong and causing trouble for others in society, help when asked for, and that would be a great thing. Please read the similar article, Do Not Offer Help Unless Asked For. Those who have constant faith will have constant actions. Xiefeng, Mencius said, only those who have constant possessions can have constant hearts. Those who lack constant possessions will lack constant hearts. From this, we can understand that only when the common people live and work in peace and contentment can society be peaceful and harmonious, and all industries can prosper and develop. However, can those who have constant possessions always abide by the law and refrain from wrongdoing? Will those who lack constant possessions inevitably break the law and engage in all sorts of misconduct? Not necessarily. The legal protection of private property rights is a universal value. Any act that deprives individuals of their lawful private property is a crime, regardless of the noble moral justifications. The sanctity of lawful private property rights is both natural and divine, a protection and respect for the people's livelihood and reproduction. It is the guarantee of the people's survival and prosperity. Enabling the multitude to possess constant property is like providing vast pastures for cattle and sheep. This is the way to nurture the people of the world. But let us not forget that constant possessions belong to the material realm. If a person's steadfastness depends solely on material possessions, their perspective and realm would be too narrow, and their spirit and consciousness would remain at an animalistic level, making it difficult for their life to ascend to heaven. In heaven, everyone has the right to use, but no one has the right to own. Everything is shared, and everyone owns nothing yet possesses everything. Did Jesus Christ have constant possessions? Did Siddhartha Gautama Buddha and the sage Laozi have constant possessions? Did many missionaries have constant possessions? Yet, they all had constancy of heart. Above the notion that those who have constant possessions have constancy of heart lies a higher level of spiritual and conscious state. Those who have constant faith have constant actions. For those with unwavering faith, regardless of whether they possess constant material wealth or not, no matter how difficult and tortuous the path, they will persevere steadfastly towards their predetermined direction and goals, that is, constant action. Those who possess constant possessions may not refrain from wrongdoing, but those who have constant faith will never transgress. For example, someone may own a small farm, signifying constant possessions, yet cannot guarantee that they won't use pesticides, fertilizers, or even growth hormones on their vegetables and fruits. But for those with constant faith, they won't, because they are acutely aware of the dreadful consequences of transgression. Of course, the constancy of faith depends on what one believes in. If one believes in money is almighty or money can make ghosts grind, then their lifelong constancy will be in the pursuit of wealth. However, regardless of what the faithful believe in, the realm and perspective of those who have constant faith have constant actions far surpasses the realm and perspective of those who have constant possessions have constancy of heart. A pig, once it has a pigsty, possesses constant possessions and constancy of heart. A swan, without a fixed home and without constant possessions, has constant faith. Therefore, the swan can freely soar between heaven and earth, migrate freely with the change of seasons, and fly wherever it wants to go. The thinking style and approach to action in spiritual thinking. Xiefeng. We are already aware of the ladder of thinking in life: material thinking, image thinking, associative thinking, elusive thinking, visualized thinking, taiji thinking, non-form thinking, and holographic thinking. So why do we introduce rational thinking and spiritual thinking? Material thinking, image thinking, associative thinking, and elusive thinking all fall under rational thinking, which is characteristic of human thinking, while visualized thinking, taiji thinking, non-form thinking, and holographic thinking belong to celestial thinking. In other words, rational thinking and spiritual thinking serve as the boundary between human and celestial thinking. If your thinking is rational, do not doubt it. You are undoubtedly human. If, however, you contemplate and handle everything from the perspectives of visualization, taiji, non-form, and holography, without a doubt, you have transcended the ordinary and become celestial. Put simply, if our approach to problem-solving starts from the perspectives of materialism, imagery, association, and illusion, focusing on resolving the issues of survival such as food, clothing, shelter, transportation, and addressing life's inevitable challenges like aging, illness, and death, as well as securing respect, dignity, and a good reputation, and even aspiring to be admired or worshipped, then that is rational thinking, the thinking of humans. Spiritual thinking disregards these factors. Spiritual thinkers primarily consider whether their approach to handling affairs aligns with the will of the Supreme Life, the Creator, and whether it is consistent with their ultimate goal. In other words, spiritual thinkers make the will of the greatest Creator their own desire and the principles of Tao their guiding rules for action, without considering the benefits to themselves. They ponder whether their actions would please the greatest Creator. For instance, if the Holy Spirit tells you to live in the desert, a spiritual thinker will joyfully head to the desert without hesitation, thinking, "Oh, this is a revelation from the Holy Spirit. I believe in the Holy Spirit, so I should go live in the desert." It's that simple, direct, and straightforward. However, a rational thinker would never think or act in this manner. A rational thinker would ask, there's no water in the desert, wouldn't people die of thirst? What if there's a sandstorm that buries the house? Live in the desert? Are you insane? Similarly, if the Holy Spirit tells you to go to Canada, a rational thinker will first check how to get a visa. After finding out that applicants need a bank deposit and monthly bank transactions, and realizing they have neither, they would just forget it. I don't meet the requirements. But a spiritual thinker wouldn't bother checking the requirements or listening to others' advice. They would immediately start the application process. At this point, you might wonder what the Holy Spirit is and how to know if it's a revelation from the Holy Spirit. Let me explain. The Holy Spirit is not a person. It's the voice within us or the greatest driving force we feel in our hearts. This driving force must bring us joy and excitement, not pressure or fear. You might think that spiritual thinkers have simplistic minds. Let me tell you, the minds of spiritual thinkers are infinitely more complex than those of rational thinkers. Spiritual thinkers belong to a higher dimensional thinking, and rational thinkers cannot comprehend the complexity of spiritual thinkers' minds. This can be demonstrated in three ways. Firstly, spiritual thinkers grasp the macroscopic, while rational thinkers grasp the microscopic. For instance, when seeking employment, spiritual thinkers prioritize whether the job brings them joy and happiness, whereas rational thinkers focus on aspects such as salary, working conditions, and prospects. Why is that? Because spiritual thinkers consider the direction of their lives and whether they can ultimately reach heaven. They are unwilling to do anything that conflicts with their destination. On the other hand, rational thinkers consider whether the job can meet their current life needs and don't consider whether their current actions will affect their ultimate goal. From this perspective, spiritual thinkers consider how to live, while rational thinkers consider how to survive. Secondly, spiritual thinkers consider life, while rational thinkers consider human life. To consider life, one must understand the principles and mysteries of life and its relationship with time and space. To consider human life, one only needs to learn the accumulated knowledge and experience of humanity and understand the operating rules of human society. Thirdly, spiritual thinkers maximize simplicity in handling complexity, while rational thinkers always complicate simplicity. For example, when building a community, those who participated in the construction of our third and fourth branches can recall that the layout and environment of the two communities were beautiful, right? If it were rational thinkers, they would gather everyone to discuss how to lay out and beautify the environment, insisting on drawing plans first, considering the selection of materials and the arrangement of personnel, and so on. However, in the construction of the two branches, there were no such discussions. I just imagined the layout and environment based on the terrain and then told everyone what to do. When everyone worked together, they didn't even know what the final community would look like. Yet, due to excellent cooperation, we completed two beautiful communities in just 2 years. It's worth emphasizing that the mind of someone who simplifies complex issues is significantly more insightful and considers a broader range of factors compared to someone who complicates straightforward matters. It's not even on the same level. Don't believe it? Why not attempt to simplify your own life and observe the outcomes? If you think that spiritual thinkers handle things superficially while rational thinkers are meticulous, that's a misunderstanding. For example, when building a house in a certain location, a spiritual thinker might say, just build a housey on high ground using wood and glass. It'll be good if it can last for 2 or 3 years. This would be hard for a rational thinker to accept. At the very least, they would consider the stability of the house and ensure it stands for at least 30 years, right? On the surface, the rational thinker's consideration seems entirely correct. But the crucial point is, the spiritual thinker considers that there will be a major earthquake in the location where the house is built 2 years later. Even the sturdiest house would collapse. Therefore, they suggest just doing it casually. There's no need to go to great lengths and waste financial, material, and human resources. This is something a rational thinker would never think of. So, what about life? Isn't it like building a house in an earthquake zone? Is it necessary to rack our brains and be so serious? My reply to the 4 questions raised by the chairman of the International Federation of Philosophical Societies, Xiefeng, Professor Dermot Moran, chairman of the International Federation of Philosophical Societies, raised the following 4 questions at the opening ceremony of the 24th World Congress of Philosophy held in Beijing on August 13, 2018. Is the relationship between man and society one or many? What is the future of mankind? In the face of uncertain technological innovations such as AI, where are we heading to? Are we facing the problem with a critical eye, and are we seeking verification of this? Is learning to be human for oneself or for others? My reply is as follows. The relationship between man and society is neither one nor many, but a combination. Look at the ant colony and the bee colony from a human perspective. The relationship between each ant and the colony is the relationship between the individual and the whole, the relationship between the cell and the body. If the whole disappears, the individual cannot survive. If the body perishes, the cells die. And without the individual, there is no whole. Without cells, there is no body. So the relationship between an ant and an ant colony is a combination. When looking at human society from a higher level of life than that of human beings, in fact, the relationship between individuals and society is not fundamentally different from the relationship between an ant and an ant colony. Even with wolves and lions, this rule also applies. If there are only 3 people on this earth, then these 3 people will constitute a society, and a single person can only have a chance to survive if they combine with the society. Otherwise, they will inevitably become extinct. The future of mankind lies in the Xiefeng-style communist society. Otherwise, mankind is bound to perish. The path of American civilization will become narrower and narrower. Chinese civilization is a dead end, and the integration of political and religious civilization in some countries in the Middle East will inevitably decline. Intelligent technology will continue to leap forward and cannot be stopped. Eventually, biological robots that are more advanced than humans will be born. In the future, the reproduction method of a mother being pregnant and giving birth to children will be replaced by biological robots with biochemical nursery rooms. As long as there is competition, human beings will be eliminated by biological robots. There is only one way to survive, and that is to produce and live in accordance with Xiefeng-style communism. In the face of these problems, we can neither treat them in a critical way, nor in a way of seeking verification. Criticism can only find problems but cannot solve them. Verification can only cross the river by feeling the stones. It is difficult to guarantee the crossing of the river. Maybe you will be overturned and drowned in the river or by a wave before you reach the center of the river. So, what is the best plan for facing this problem? Answer: to implement the superhuman philosophy, that is, the person who is completely selfless and the most intelligent will make analysis, judgment, and induction and point out the way forward. Remember, the collective wisdom of millions of mediocrities is not as good as the foresight and sagacity of a saint. Democracy is the pursuit of mediocrities, and democracy cannot solve the problem of directionality. Learning to be human is neither for oneself nor for others, but a return to pure human nature. The nature that conforms to the way of nature is pure human nature, and the nature that does not conform to the way of nature is not pure human nature. This is like building a computer. As long as you build a computer that performs well, it can play a corresponding role no matter who uses it. If you consider making for yourself or making for others when manufacturing, the computer will fail if making for yourself, others cannot use it. If making for others, its performance will be greatly reduced. There are thousands of philosophers and amateur philosophers participating in the 24th World Conference of Philosophy in the Great Hall of the People in Beijing currently. They are all masters in the philosophical world today. I am willing to challenge the masters, that is, I can solve all the philosophical problems that you cannot solve. Do you not believe me? Bring your problem to me and see how I will solve it. Some perceptions about life. Xiefeng. Everyone's present must be accumulated from their past in speech, behaviors, and performances. Everyone's speech, behavior, and performance are absolutely determined by his inner world. Everyone's inner world is absolutely determined by his upbringing, cultivation, and self-restraint. Everyone's upbringing, cultivation, and self-restraint are absolutely determined by his beliefs and ideals. It is inferred from this that the path of life is determined by one's beliefs and ideals. To build the international family, I recently contacted and observed more than 50 communities in the United States and Canada. I also contacted communities in Japan and Portugal. I discovered many interesting phenomena. First, when something beautiful suddenly came, people would always doubt its pure beauty. Instead of embracing it boldly, people deliberately reject it. Secondly, everyone has beautiful ideals, but once the ideal things do come, they are at a loss to understand them and will even resist them. Finally, in order to unite the community, the outstanding must cater to and accommodate the mediocre. Once catered and accommodated to, it is tantamount to retrogression, and retrogression is painful. From this, we found that world harmony is not achieved by morality and ideals, not by preaching and guidance, but by the advancement of science and technology, by changes in lifestyle, and by the compulsion to survive. To follow the trend, I recently created my own Facebook account and discovered a new world. That is, I can establish connections with people all over the world while sitting in front of my computer. I have had friend relationships with people in dozens of countries, but I find that people are fonder of expressing themselves than paying attention to others. Not long ago, I got in touch with some classmates whom I had lost touch with over 30 years ago. Oh, I was so happy. I hurriedly shared my decades of experience and insights with everyone. The result was that there were very few responses. It was like throwing a stone in a lake that could not splash any water. It gave me the feeling that this generation, born in the 1950s and 1960s, has been swallowed up by the secular world. Except for enjoying their later life, actually waiting for death, this generation has no more enthusiasm and passion for life. They will not make any special contributions to the civilizational sublimation of this world. If they make any contribution, it is nothing more than sticking to tradition, restoring old ways, and attacking new ideas. I pay close attention to the natural changes in the world every day and find that no place on the earth is absolutely safe. It is either severely cold or tormented by scorching heat, besieged by floods, or scorched by drought, submerged by volcanic ash, or struck down by an earthquake. It either meets with a mudslide or encounters an infectious disease. It is either scorched by wildfires or plagued by wars. It is either blown down by a hurricane or engulfed by a typhoon. It is either shrouded in smog or ravaged by pollution, and it is perilous everywhere. Disasters will befall from time to time. I keep a constant eye on the changes in social ecology, and I found that none of the so many presidents and political elites around the world can come up with a path or plan for the development of human society that the people all over the world will agree with. From this, I feel that truly creative wisdom does not come from the brains of heads of state, but from the people. Civil society is the greatest hope for the rise of human civilization. Human beings have been living on the earth for 5,000 years, and the ideal production and life mode of humans has not yet been born on the earth. If there is an ideal life mode, it is the new oasis for life mode created by Life Chanuan, that is, the Siefeng-style communism model. Where do people live the happiest? I lived in Binka, the most remote area of Zimbabwe, for a period of time. I lived in the most primitive place on Santo Island in Vanuatu in the South Pacific for a period of time. I lived in the prosperous city of Shenzhen of China for a period of time, and lived in the highly developed city of Vancouver, Canada for a period of time. The conclusion is that happiness has little to do with the place where you live, but has much to do with the pressures of life. The greater the pressure of life, the less happy people will be, and the lower the pressure of life, the happier they will be. Yesterday I read the article of Songlong Shuhua called The 14 Dregs Left by History in China, Rebellion Without Money, Corruption with Money. I felt that it resonated with me very much. The 14 dregs are regional awareness, anti-foreign sentiment, fighting among their own, obedience, shamelessly touting, all talk and no action, no tradition of peacefully changing regimes, handling affairs by relying on interpersonal relationships and blood relationships, worshiping the official ranks, fame, position, and glorifying the ancestors, paying no attention to science, treating people who criticize themselves as enemies. If they have no money, they will rebel, and if they have money, they will become corrupt. They can only share adversity, not peace and happiness. regarding old and ruined cultural relics as national treasures, and not regarding talents as national treasures. Strong retro-psychology, weak scientific thinking, and strong sense of superstition. The buying and selling of official positions is popular. I have been thinking about one thing these days. Everyone wants to live well, but after investigating history and observing the status quo, we must ask, how many people have lived an ideal life? From the emperor and president to the common people, from historical celebrities to current stars, from high-ranking officials and billionaires to workers, peasants and peddlers, from experts and scholars to illiterates and thieves, from African blacks to European and American whites and to Oriental yellow people, very few people have lived in happiness on their own. The current human race has a history of nearly 5,000 years, but most people have not lived an ideal life. What is the problem? After observation, I came to the following conclusion. Everyone does not know what kind of life they need. They are just drifting around. People are struggling with selfish desires, but they do not know that the more selfish they become, the more miserable their lives will be. People cannot let go of failures and frustrations, and they do things with resentment, which makes their situation worse. People want to live a good life by getting married and starting a family, but fall into a trap, which is counterproductive for them. The best inexhaustible resource for mankind is sex. Everyone yearns for a good sex life. However, mankind treats sexual resources as rubbish and waste in a moral, ethical, religious, and customary way. Reap what you have sown is an unbreakable truth, but what are people growing? Every day people are planting jealousy, complaints, anger, rage, hatred, condemnation, attacks, suppression, insults, fraud, lies, ridicule, irony, sarcasm, nitpicking, theft, corruption, luxury, waste, pollution, competition, killing, entrapping, cheating, abduction, deception, superstition, dishonesty, counterfeiting, etc. Can you have a good life by planting so many of these bad seeds? Internal factors are the basis for a good life, and external factors are the conditions for a good life, but people do the opposite. They do not work hard on their own roots, but are eager to achieve success in ever-changing conditions. Of course, they will never live a good life. They are either too impulsive or with insufficient reason, or negative, passive, and lazy. How can they have a good life? There are two ways of living that are not worth promoting and imitating. One is the life of pigs, and the other is the life of the dead. The life of a pig is like this. Every day they enjoy themselves leisurely without worrying about eating or drinking. When they are happy, they will play in a mud puddle mixed with rain and excrement, roll around and hum a bit. If they do not want to play anymore, they will lie down on the ground and sleep and feel that they are the happiest in the world. The life of the dead is like this, living in a well-decorated room, not afraid of smog, not afraid of wind and rain, regardless of the changes in the world, regardless of human suffering, not worried about the broiling of the sun, not worried about the cold, no enthusiasm, no passion. Even if they see another's fine piece of writing, they do not give any praise or encouragement. They do not even give a like. They are just like the walking dead. They think that they have become immortal or like Buddha. In fact, they are just rotten and their attitude stinks. For outlooks will give you harmony. Xiefeng. It is often said that, with 3 different outlooks, people cannot live harmoniously. Only with the same 3 outlooks can people get along well with each other. There are also sayings that, with different worldviews, good relationships cannot remain long. With different worldviews, you cannot make good friends, communicate with people with different worldviews, and every word will be like playing a harp to a cow, etc. The 3 outlooks refer to worldviews, outlooks on life, and values. What I want to say is that if our outlook on life is different, then we cannot live in harmony either. If 2 people have the same worldviews, outlooks on life, and values, but different outlooks on life, what will the result be? One's outlook on life is their understanding and perspective of life and death phenomena and on time and space. If 2 peoples are different, then even if they have the same worldviews, outlooks on life, and values, it will be difficult for them to get along well. Worldviews are people's understandings and perspectives on the world. Outlooks on life are people's understandings and perspectives on their purpose, meaning, and value of life. And values are people's recognitions, judgments, affirmations, and denials of the importance of things. For example, Zhang Asan and Li Si both wanted to gain wealth, But how did they go about doing that? From the perspective of their worldviews, they both believe that the existence of the big world is for them to enjoy. From the perspective on life, they both believe that the purpose of life is to be happy and joyous. And from the perspective of values, they both believe that obtaining money is important and a necessary condition for gaining wealth. Therefore, they were harmonious in terms of worldviews, outlooks on life, and values. There were no conflicts or contradictions between them. However, disputes and splits occurred on the issue of how to achieve their goal. Zhang San believed that as long as he could gain wealth, he could offer bribes, sell heroin, or rob banks. But Li Si believed that these methods of doing it were absolutely unacceptable, that they were offensive to man and God, and that they would be punished. Zhang San and Li Si, who had the same worldviews, perspectives on life, and values, could no longer get along with each other on the question of how to gain wealth, and this resulted in splits and disputes. But what was the reason? The reason was that Zhang San and Li Si had different outlooks of life. Zhang San believed that everything is gone after death, and that living happily was the kingly way, while Li Si believed that people will reincarnate and that we should live without being offensive to man and God because otherwise, we will go to hell. Here is the conclusion. With the same three outlooks, it is still impossible to live in harmony. It is only with the same four outlooks that people can do so. Patterns and endings. Xiefeng. A pan is a pattern and a pancake is an ending. The size of the pan determines the size of the pancake. A puddle of water is a pattern and the fish in it are an ending. The depth and width of the water decides the size and quantity of the fish. Space is a pattern. If it is small, then it can only hold a grain of sand. If it is vast, then it can hold the sun, the moon, the earth, and all the stars and galaxies. If a shepherd is jealous of another shepherd who has more sheep than he does, then he will never be more than a shepherd. If a beggar is jealous of another beggar who begs more successfully and gets more food than he does every day, then he will never be more than a beggar. If a monkey is jealous of another monkey whose butt is redder than his own, then he will never be more than a monkey. We find that people who compare themselves to and are jealous of their peers have small patterns. They will always be what they are now because they cannot go beyond themselves. If a person is always comparing themselves with others, then they certainly cannot become a celestial, a Buddha, or a god, because their pattern is that of a human, not that of any of the other three. That is, their pot is the human pot, not the celestial or Buddha pot, so they cannot bake their bigger cakes. A dog who is idle all day except to catch mice has the pattern of a cat and can become one. A wealthy landowner who looks down on the poor has the pattern of a rich man but cannot become a gentleman. A beautiful woman who satirizes people whose appearances are not as good as hers is physically beautiful, but she has the pattern of a thorny vase and cannot become a lady. It can be seen from this that those who look down upon and attack people who are less advantaged than they are generally have very small patterns. Therefore, those who look down upon and bully beggars and peasants in this world have small patterns and small futures. Those who challenge lions and those who challenge mice have different patterns and different endings. Those who challenge an emperor may become an emperor, but those who challenge a beggar can only become a beggar. There is an old saying that peers are enemies. In fact, those who regard peers as enemies do so because their patterns are small. The competition between peers is the cruelest in market competition. Sheep are not satisfied with goats farting, but they are all sheep and they are peers. Yesterday, as I browsed videos on the web, a famous internet figure whom I respected because he had produced several hundred high-quality videos, had attacked another well-known videographer who had produced similar content. He said that the other guy was a liar, and this collapsed my respect for him in an instant because he revealed that his pattern was smaller than I had expected. Those with such small patterns cannot let others live and work in peace and cannot let the world be clear and bright. From this, I found a revelation. Those who always praise and inspire others are people with big patterns, but those who always suppress and attempt to destroy others are people with small ones. Those who have really big patterns acknowledge and praise their opponents, and those who praise their enemies have limitless patterns. We can thus infer these conclusions. Those who have bad relationships with their colleagues have small patterns, as do those who belittle others, attack their peers, bully people who are weaker than they are, contend for profit among relatives and friends, like internal strife, and those who like to show off. People with big patterns can endure humiliation on important tasks. A famous example is Han Xian, who was humiliated by being forced to crawl between other men's legs. To avoid wasting time and energy by bothering with those street thugs, he chose to endure crawling between their legs. Gojian, the king of the Yu Kingdom, sleeping on the brushwood and tasting the gall, sent his wife to King Wu's bed and even tasted King Wu's feces. Pu Songling, the author of Strange Tales from a Lonely Studio, who was repeatedly frustrated but never depressed, once composed a pair of couplets. Where there is a will, there is a way. After burning one's bridges, the 120 Qin passes finally belong to Chu, and heaven does not fail people who exert efforts. Sleeping on the brushwood and tasting the gall, 3,000 Yu soldiers conquered the Wu kingdom. We can see that his pattern was huge. If you were walking along a road and someone hit you, what would you do? People with small patterns would immediately scold, "Are you blind?" But those with large patterns would just smile and say, "I'm sorry, please forgive me for being in your way." People with big patterns will have good endings. The bigger their pattern, the better their ending. With a small pattern, you can only march in place or even retreat. Do you want to be a celestial being? Then do not compare yourselves to others, do not make a fuss with others, and do not compete with others. Consciousness, structure, and energy are the three elements of the universe. Xiefeng. Look at the boundless world. What is caught by our eyes is material structure. Without structure, there is no material. For the various marvelous spectacle of lives, the differences lie in the differences of structures. Structures decide the forms of lives. We can choose the people who we want in crowds immediately because of their distinct structures. We can easily find a peony among many types of flowers because peony structures are distinctive. We identify everything by identifying their structures. The universe is full of invisible energy which only reveals itself by attaching itself to structures. Therefore, all visible objects that we see are structures combined with energy geometrically. Different structures absorb different energies. The one